If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 1, Transmigration, Blue Lock. Player Kira, people say you're the gem of the football world, and there are even rumors that the U18 national team has decided to promote you directly to the team. Can you tell us about your ambitions? On a temporary interview platform set up beside the football field, a beautiful female reporter held a microphone and interviewed a handsome young man in front of her. At this moment, the young man was still in a daze. The vast green grass, the spacious and bright stadium, and the continuous cheering were all very unfamiliar to him. Just a few seconds ago, he was a young and unknown manga artist, eating snacks and watching anime at home, preparing to draw a hot-blooded manga later. But now, he found himself in a strange yet somewhat familiar football field. He immediately understood that he had transmigrated. A surge of unfamiliar memories rushed into his mind, making him aware of which world he had arrived in the Blue Lock. The country implemented a plan called Blue Lock to create a super forward. They invited 300 young forwards from all over the country to participate in closed training and selection in Blue Lock. In the end, only one person can stay and become a world-class forward, while the remaining 299 people who are eliminated will never be able to join the national team, marking the end of their football careers. At the same time, he also realized his identity, which was an insignificant supporting character in the Blue Lock series named Kira Ryosuke. At this moment, Kira Ryosuke had just led his team to defeat the opponents and secured a spot in the national tournament. He himself had already become a local celebrity, even being regarded as a gem in the football world by many. However, his perfect life trajectory was about to come to an end. In the near future, Kira Ryosuke would participate in the Blue Lock program. Instead of shining in the football world as he should have, he was eliminated in the first round of the Blue Lock selection. His football career came to a definitive end, and he became an insignificant cannon fodder. Kira Ryosuke felt a mix of emotions. It wasn't just because he had just transmigrated into this world, but more importantly, he had no interest in football. Although he knew the rules of football, it was mostly from watching classic sports anime. He didn't dislike the sport, but he was far from being passionate about it. Initially, when he realized he had transmigrated, he was very happy, thinking that he could become a copyist in this world and create a popular manga to achieve fame and fortune. And now, he had gained some recognition but in the field of football. As the core ace of the team, Kira Ryosuke was already a young star with some fame. He also knew that there was no easy way for him to escape from the world of football. Having never played football before, he had become a gem in the football world. It was a hopeless situation to think about. Even if he could inherit the excellent physical attributes of his original body and the football skills from his memories, there were many other things he couldn't inherit, such as football intelligence and instinctive reactions. If he forced himself to participate in the competition, the consequences would be evident. He might become a laughingstock among the national fans. Thinking like this, he might as well follow the original story and participate in the Blue Lock program, naturally avoiding the national tournament that would come later, and then, just like in the original plot, be eliminated midway due to an accident, ending his football career prematurely and starting his path as a manga artist. The original body indeed had outstanding talent in the field of football, but even if he hadn't been eliminated in the first round, there was no guarantee he would have gone far. In Blue Lock, talent and ability were abundant. Mr. Kira. At this moment, the gentle voice of a beautiful female reporter brought Kira Ryosuke back to reality, making him realize that he was being interviewed and expected to say something about winning the championship. Thanks to my teammates, I am who I am today because of them. Kira Ryosuke immediately smiled and spoke some official words into the microphone. He could clearly hear the audience in the venue shouting his name in unison, so he waved his hand in response. After attending the celebration party, Kira Ryosuke returned home and his family handed him a letter from the Football Association. Kira Ryosuke was well aware of the contents of the letter. It was an invitation from Blue Lock. However, he wasn't particularly interested in football, and the Blue Lock program was known to be extremely brutal. Only one person out of the 300 participants would succeed, while countless players who were once considered geniuses would be reduced to nothing. Moreover, during this period, they would undergo closed-door hellish training, with even their phones confiscated, cutting off all communication with the outside world. A true prison, indeed. As Kira Ryosuke reached out to touch the letter, a strange voice suddenly rang in his ears. Football competitiveness. Super God skill system unlocked. Newcomer gift package for the host, automatically activating. Congratulations, host! You have obtained the Football Competitiveness Specialization, Thunder Breath gift package. What? Kira Ryosuke quickly realized that the system he possessed as a transmigrator had finally been unlocked. At the same time, some images that only he could see gradually appeared. Host, Kira Ryosuke. Current competitiveness points, 0. Current skills. Competitiveness, Breath of Thunder, Full Concentration, unlocked, Level 1, Proficiency 0%. Competitiveness, Breath of Thunder, Thunderclap Flash, First Form, unlocked, Level 1, Proficiency 0%. Competitiveness, Breath of Thunder, Rai Spirit, locked, unlock, 100 competitiveness points. Competitiveness, Breath of Thunder, Thunder Swarm, locked, unlock, 150 competitiveness points and Rai Spirit already unlocked. Competitiveness, Breath of Thunder, Rumble and Flash, locked, unlock, 300 competitiveness points and Heat Lightning already unlocked. Competitiveness, Breath of Thunder, Hano Ikazuchi no Kami, locked, unlock, 350 competitiveness points and Rumble and Flash already unlocked. Breath of Thunder? Football? What is this? Kira Ryosuke was a little dazed at the moment. In theory, he should be happy about unlocking the system, but at this moment, he felt more astonished. Breath of Thunder originally belonged to the Demon Slayer world, a unique technique of the Demon Slayer core. They could change their breathing style and enter a state called total concentration breathing, enhancing their physical abilities by absorbing a large amount of oxygen. By combining it with different swordsmanship styles, they possessed the power to fight against demons. And now, the system was combining breath techniques with football? This had to be a joke. Chapter 2, System Unlocked, Breath of Thunder. Kira Ryosuke's gaze continued to move, and there were other pieces of information on the system interface. Note, competitiveness points can be obtained in various ways, closely related to factors such as personal fame, the strength of opponents and teammates in matches, and performance in matches. In short, the stronger the opponents and teammates in matches, the better the performance, and the higher the personal fame, the more competitiveness points can be obtained. However, this is limited to the field of football. Note, competitiveness points can also be obtained through daily training, including physical fitness and skill practice. The amount obtained is related to the intensity and duration of the training, with a maximum of 10 points per day through this method. Note, skills that have been unlocked can be improved in proficiency through practice. When proficiency reaches 100%, the skill level can be increased, requiring the expenditure of competitiveness points. Note, when the competitiveness points reach a certain level, new skills can be drawn. Note, different skills may have special usage/combinations. Host, please explore them on your own. According to the system's introduction, Kira Ryosuke quickly understood the way to obtain competitive points. Apart from gaining them through training, in a sense, it is similar to the concept of prestige points in some anime and novels. The greater the influence one possesses, the more points they can acquire, unlocking more skills and further enhancing their own strength and influence. Of course, in the context of football, this system has bound Kira Ryosuke and football together. The highly regarded Blue Lock project provides the perfect stage for this system to fully unfold. Kira Ryosuke understands that after the implementation of the Blue Lock project, those participating will engage in high-intensity matches. Both opponents and teammates are the most promising young players in the country. Numerous teams' key players are involved, and they may even compete against the nation's top or even world-class players in the future. The stronger the opponent, the higher the number of competitive points one can acquire. Blue Lock is the ideal place to obtain these points. Kira Ryosuke himself isn't particularly interested in football, but he doesn't dislike it either. However, with the system's enhancement, his perspective has changed. The original Kira Ryosuke had a certain level of recognition and great talent. However, even if he passed the initial selection, his talent alone wouldn't have stood out within the Blue Lock system. It might have even been considered mediocre. But now, everything is different. Kira Ryosuke believes that he might be able to use this system to go further within the Blue Lock project, something the original Kira Ryosuke couldn't achieve. Perhaps interesting things could happen within Blue Lock. Even if it doesn't meet his expectations, it wouldn't be a loss for Kira Ryosuke. Even if his football career comes to an end, he could use this experience as material for drawing manga in the future. He immediately opened the letter he had just received, and a line of big characters appeared before him. You have been designated as a strengthened player and are required to attend training at the Football Association headquarters on date. A smile appeared on Kira Ryosuke's face. He now had 8 days to prepare. The following morning, with the faint light of dawn, Kira Ryosuke had already left home early, bringing his family's football with him to the nearby public sports field. It was currently the holiday season, giving him plenty of time for practice. The reason he came to the sports field on the second day was to figure out what kind of effect the breath style from the Demon Slayer world would have in the realm of football, and how much it could enhance his abilities. There weren't many people on the field at this time, allowing Kira Ryosuke to practice more freely. He started with the basic warm-up exercises and then positioned himself in front of the goal, placing the football on the ground. The distance between him and the goal was approximately 25 meters. Although he had the muscle memory from his original body, this was the first time Kira Ryosuke truly interacted with football in a meaningful way. Looking at the hexagonal black and white ball on the ground, Kira Ryosuke's mind conjured up the flash of Thunderclap Flash's usage. Competitive skill, Thunderclap Flash LV1 proficiency 0%. In the depths of his consciousness, it seemed that a golden lightning bolt flashed by. Accelerate, then shoot. The muscles in Kira Ryosuke's thigh tightened. He could feel a force gathering in his legs, and then he kicked the football beneath him with all his might. No curve, just a simple straight line, but with a tremendous speed, it went straight into the goal. Even after being caught by the net, it maintained a strong impact. It slowly rolled down only after the force was completely cushioned by the net. His eyes widened slightly. This goal was much more powerful than he had imagined. The original Kira Ryosuke had excellent football skills, precise and powerful shots, but this shot was even more swift than every shot he remembered. After completing the shot, the system interface in Kira Ryosuke's eyes changed. Competitive skill, Thunderclap Flash LV1 proficiency 0.01%. It seems that using Thunderclap Flash for shooting can increase proficiency. 100 shots can increase it by 1%. So, in the next week or so, I'll have to do around 1500 shots on average each day. Kira Ryosuke muttered to himself. However, this was just a separate test of the Thunderclap Flash skill. Kira Ryosuke knew that to fully unleash the potential of this skill, he needed to combine it with the total concentration breathing. In the world of Demon Slayer, the so-called breathing styles combine total concentration breathing with different swordsmanship styles. These swordsmanship styles are powerful, but they can only truly be effective when fused with that unique breathing technique. Kira Ryosuke believed that the same was true for the first form he currently mastered. He picked up the ball and placed it back in the same position, still 25 meters away. With the memories given by the system, Kira Ryosuke instinctively adjusted his breathing method. He opened his mouth and took in the surrounding air, feeling the oxygen rushing into his lungs, his chest rising and falling with strength. The flow of blood accelerated, rushing through Kira Ryosuke's veins like a surging river. The speed of his heartbeat increased, and he could even hear his own heart pounding like thunder. Power seemed to be flowing throughout his entire body, and Kira Ryosuke's body moved involuntarily. Chapter 3, The First Encounter with Rico Aida. In the state of total concentration breathing, a person's physical abilities will explode. Competitive skill, Thunder Breathing. Total concentration LV1 proficiency 0%. The surroundings seemed to become quiet, and Kira Ryosuke could only hear his own breathing and heartbeat in his ears. In his heart, there was only one thought: shooting. He took a step and shot. Boom! At the moment when Kira Ryosuke's foot touched the football, a huge sound erupted, as if thunder had exploded. Immediately, the ball shot out at an exaggerated speed, also without any arc, drawing a fleeting straight line. This time, the Thunderclap Flash combined with the thunder breathing technique made it even faster than before. And it was filled with even more power. Like a hungry beast, it roared directly at its prey, and the sound of friction with the air was the beast's roar. However, to Kira Ryosuke's surprise, the ball didn't directly enter the goal but collided straight into the goalpost. After a loud bang, it bounced high into the air, tens of meters above the ground. Competitive skill, Thunderclap Flash, First Form, Proficiency 0.11%. Competitive skill, Thunder Breathing, Total Concentration, Proficiency 0.02%. The proficiencies of the first form and the Thunder Breathing have improved, but the Thunderclap Flash gained much more proficiency this time compared to before. Is it because the proficiency increases more when the skill is used with the breathing technique? The power becomes quite exaggerated with total concentration breathing, but the precision is lacking so much. It seems I haven't yet adapted to this power and technique. Kira Ryosuke muttered to himself. He inherited the original owner's excellent football skills, and 25 meters was not considered a close distance, but it should have been within his shooting range without missing. Yet, he missed. It seems that I'm not proficient enough in this skill. Because total concentration breathing gives me an explosive power I didn't have before, my body hasn't fully adapted to it. I still need to further improve my accuracy. Kira Ryosuke analyzed. And at that moment, a voice unfamiliar to him sounded behind him, clear and powerful. Excuse me, are you Senior Kira? Kira Ryosuke looked in the direction of the voice and saw a girl with a beautiful face. Her amber eyes were clear and gave off a sense of youthful vitality. She appeared to be around the same age as Kira Ryosuke. She had fair skin and shoulder-length brown hair, with 2 black hair clips holding her bangs in place. She was wearing a simple sports outfit, indicating that she had also come for morning practice. Hello, Kira Ryosuke politely responded. He had a certain level of fame locally, so being recognized by passers-by was a common occurrence. To avoid drawing too much attention and unnecessary trouble, he chose to train before the sun had fully risen. This was the first time he had seen this girl, but Kira Ryosuke had a somewhat familiar feeling about her. However, the girl didn't immediately respond to Kira Ryosuke's greeting. Instead, her gaze moved up and down his body, as if she were scanning him like a mechanical device. Hello, may I ask, what are you doing? Kira Ryosuke asked with some embarrassment. Oh, I'm sorry. The girl suddenly realized that she had been a bit impolite and quickly apologized, clapping her hands together. I have a habit of observing athletes' bodies. I'm really sorry. Observing athletes' bodies. Kira Ryosuke's eyebrows twitched slightly. It was a strange thing to hear from a 16 or 17-year-old girl. Oh no. That's not what I meant. The girl's fair face turned slightly red due to embarrassment. She waved her hands and continued to explain, my father used to be a trainer for athletes. He would record their physical data and create training schedules based on that. I grew up around my father and unconsciously developed the habit. After hearing her explanation, the sense of familiarity in Kira Ryosuke's heart became even more pronounced. What should I call you? Kira Ryosuke asked. I am sorry for forgetting to introduce myself. My name is Aida Rico. I'm a first-year student at Siren High School, which is newly established nearby. Nice to meet you. The girl who called herself Aida Rico immediately bowed. And Kira Ryosuke could confirm his speculation. Aida Rico was indeed the person he recognized. She was the main character in the basketball series Kuroko no Basket. She served as the supervisor and manager of the protagonist's team, possessing a unique ability to assess a person's physical qualities through observation and create targeted training plans based on that. In the original work, it was thanks to Aida Rico's presence that the Siren basketball team gradually made a name for themselves from being an unknown team. However, for Aida Rico, who had just entered high school, that was a story for the future. 2 worlds merging together. But basketball probably doesn't have much to do with me in the short term, Kira Ryosuke thought, feeling somewhat surprised. Excuse me, Senpai Kira, was that sound just now made by you? At that moment, Aida Rico asked with some confusion. She had been attracted by the thunderous sound while out for her morning run and didn't expect to see the local famous star, Kira Ryosuke, here. I'm sorry, I was practicing shooting just now and was too focused. I didn't notice the sound, Kira Ryosuke replied, reaching back to touch the back of his head. At the same time, he discreetly glanced around, but there was no one else nearby. Is that so? Could it be that I misheard? Aida Rico pursed her lips and shifted her gaze to the goalpost beside them. She clearly saw a noticeable and massive dent on the goalpost as if it had been struck by something heavy. Although the sports facility was somewhat aged, the quality of the sports equipment was still quite good. Can a 17-year-old high school student achieve this level of shooting? Absolutely impossible. While Kira Ryosuke is a relatively talented player, it's absolutely impossible for him to create such a level of shooting with his physical abilities. Someone must have played a prank and intentionally damaged the goalpost yesterday, Aida Rico thought to herself. Oh, by the way, Aida-san, is there anything in terms of my physical condition that needs improvement? Just at that moment, Kira Ryosuke spoke, bringing Aida Rico's attention back to reality. Chapter 4, Planning and Specialized Training begin. Kira Ryosuke knew about Aida Rico's unparalleled eyes. Before heading to the Blue Lock, he thought he could learn some knowledge from her to keep his body in a better state. After contemplating for a moment, Aida Rico nodded and said honestly, "Well, then, Kira-senpai, your physical qualities are very good, and you maintain a great physique, which shows that you are more disciplined than most athletes. However, it's not enough. First of all, you lack core strength, which affects your explosive power and balance. Additionally, your stamina is probably not the best, of course. Your physical abilities are far superior to anyone I've seen before. I'm just casually mentioning it, so don't take it to heart. It's all right. Your words are very enlightening to me." After listening to her words, Kira Ryosuke seriously contemplated them and couldn't help but admire the girl in front of him. According to his original memories, he indeed had some issues in these areas. Just then, Kira Ryosuke felt a pronounced soreness in his right leg, as if he had just completed a long-distance sprint. He had to slightly lean his body and shift his weight onto his left leg to alleviate the pressure on his right leg. Kira-senpai, is there something wrong with your right leg?" Even though it was a very subtle movement, Aida Rico noticed it. "It's nothing. It's just a bit sore," Kira Ryosuke replied. "As an athlete, you shouldn't take risks with your body. Soreness is not a good sign. Senpai, please take a seat for now." Aida Rico instructed Kira Ryosuke to sit down and straighten his right leg. "It's probably muscle soreness caused by excessive training. Doing some stretching exercises and taking a short rest should help. I have a sports drink here that can help replenish your electrolytes." Aida Rico handed a bottle of drink to Kira Ryosuke. "Thank you, Aida-san. Just call me Rico." Aida Rico smiled and then switched to a very serious expression. "Judging by your condition, you must have trained for a long time. While training is necessary, you must never overdo it. Otherwise, it can be harmful to your body. After all, your body is your capital as an athlete." Having grown up working with her father as a trainer for athletes, Aida Rico placed great importance on athletes' physical health, and Kira Ryosuke, even though they had just met, was no exception. "Yeah, I'll keep that in mind for next time." Kira Ryosuke nodded, focusing his gaze on his right leg. Because he hadn't trained for a long time, having only done some warm-up exercises and 2 shots, it was impossible for this situation to occur. He was energetic before coming to practice. Kira Ryosuke recalled the details of his recent practice. At the beginning, when he used the thunderclap flash, he didn't feel anything unusual. This soreness only occurred when he used the thunderclap flash in a fully concentrated breathing state, exactly what he did for his recent shot with his right foot. Because he had been talking to Aida Rico earlier, his attention was distracted, so he didn't feel it immediately. It was only a few seconds later that this sensation spread and intensified in his right leg. Could it be such obvious soreness? And there's also a bit of fatigue. The normal thunderclap flash doesn't have any impact on the body, but when combined with the breathing technique for an explosive shot, there isn't enough stamina and physical strength to support it. Even though I'm called a prodigy, my physical condition is still far from enough. Kira Ryosuke thought to himself, following Aida Rico's method to perform stretching exercises and alleviate the soreness. Using the breathing technique allowed him to unleash the true power of the move, but his body couldn't currently sustain unrestricted use of this skill. After using it once, his legs experienced obvious soreness. Although it would recover after resting, continuous usage within a short period might even cause muscle damage in his legs. "It seems that I still need to further improve my physical stamina, and my body strength is not enough. This soreness is probably because my body currently can't handle this skill. Moreover, I need to improve my accuracy as well. The increase in power has significantly decreased the accuracy of my shots. Using the thunderclap flash in a fully concentrated breathing state should guarantee goals in a regular match, but there's absolutely no way to use it continuously in a short period. Otherwise, it might cause harm to the body. In the current situation, I can only guarantee 1 goal at most in a single match, which is far from enough in the blue lock. To create more goals in a match, on one hand, I need to improve my physical strength so that I can use the thunderclap flash more times in a game. On the other hand, I need to further train my left foot shooting technique. If I can freely use my left foot, it will relieve the pressure on my right foot, and the number of thunderclap flash usages can double." After performing stretching exercises and resting for a few minutes, Kira Ryosuke felt that the soreness in his right leg had improved compared to before, although it was still present. "Kira-senpai is really a training maniac. But you must pay attention to rest. Maintaining your physical condition is crucial for the length of an athlete's career. Aida Rico said to Kira Ryosuke very seriously, extending her fair and slender fingers to gently rub her chin, as if contemplating something. A glint flashed in her eyes as she looked at Kira Ryosuke. I will remember that. Also, there's no need for honorifics. Just call me Kira. Kira Ryosuke smiled. The other person was a very enthusiastic girl who had helped him a lot this time. At the same time, an idea formed in his mind. If I remember correctly, Aida Rico's father still operates a gym. Maybe I can ask them to help me develop a specialized training plan for physical fitness. Thinking this, Kira Ryosuke was about to speak up and share his idea when the girl in front of him almost simultaneously opened her mouth. Can I ask you to help me create a training plan? I might be able to help you develop a specialized training plan. Both of them spoke in perfect sync, followed by a slightly awkward silence that lasted a few seconds. Well, I'd be happy to. After a moment of hesitation, Aida Rico immediately smiled and said, Welcome to our family's gym for training. Chapter 5, Clear Goals. So, how about the cost? Kira Ryosuke had earned a considerable amount of prize money from his outstanding performances in previous matches, but he was unsure how much it would cost to hire a specialized trainer. After all, even though he had gained some fame, he was still just a high school player and not a professional athlete. It's completely free. Aida Rico raised her index finger and shook it slightly. That doesn't seem right. I've heard that hiring a specialized trainer can be quite expensive. Don't worry, because you're quite popular in our area. If you come to our gym for training, it's like indirect publicity. The training costs will be offset by your advertising fees. What do you think of this idea? Looking at the enthusiastic Aida Rico in front of him, Kira Ryosuke thought for a moment. At the moment, this was the best solution. He had only one more week before heading to the Blue Lock, and his physical strength was not yet sufficient to support the use of his system skills. There, he would be facing a bunch of monsters that were essentially cheating. Compared to them, his original talent didn't give him much advantage. So Kira Ryosuke needed to quickly make up for this shortfall. He needed to strengthen his body as soon as possible. Although he only had a week, he couldn't afford to waste it. Well, thank you very much, Rico. Kira Ryosuke nodded. Let's go now. Follow me. Aida Rico walked briskly, leading Kira Ryosuke to her father's gym. Soon, Kira Ryosuke arrived at the Aida gym with Aida Rico. It was still early morning, and there weren't many people there yet. Rico, weren't you going for a morning run? Why are you back so soon? A well-built middle-aged man came out. He had the same brown hair as Aida Rico but had a rather fierce-looking face, as if his eyes were filled with a murderous intent. He cast a gaze at Kira Ryosuke. Aida Kage Tora, Aida Rico's father. He was once a talented athlete in his youth and retired to become a professional trainer. Now he operated a gym. Are you Kira Ryosuke? Aida Kage Tora raised an eyebrow slightly. He hadn't expected the local football star to come here. After Aida Rico briefed her father on the situation, his expression relaxed slightly. I see. Then I'll leave it all to you, Rico. Aida Kage Tora looked at Kira Ryosuke, observed him for a moment, and then nodded. You can use any equipment in the gym freely. Thank you very much. Kira Ryosuke nodded in response. Then, Ryosuke, follow me. Aida Rico quickly led Kira Ryosuke to a corner of the gym. At the same time, she took out pen and paper from the side and observed his body, analyzing his measurements. Her right hand holding the pen swiftly wrote something on the paper, like a machine. Aida Rico was completely focused on her work, meticulous, as if nothing happening around her could distract her attention. After a few minutes, the paper was filled with writing. Aida Rico finally put down the pen and focused her gaze on Kira Ryosuke's face. All right, the plan is almost ready. Ryosuke, tell me, in which aspects do you think you need to improve? Physical strength and endurance, I suppose. As he spoke, Kira Ryosuke instinctively turned his head to look at his right leg. Yes, that's a crucial aspect. But it's not the only one. As I said before, although your physical fitness and training level are already impressive for a high school player, I believe you have further potential. The training methods of your high school team are likely very traditional, but they may not be suitable for you. You need higher intensity and more professional training because I believe you should prepare for a broader future career. Aida Rico paused, as if she had realized something. The reason you're working so hard is because of the upcoming national championship, right? That's correct, but there's another even more important reason. I want to prepare for something else. Kira Ryosuke then explained about the invitation he received from the Blue Lock. After all, it wasn't much of a secret. There will be a special closed training session for that. I'm actually quite curious about what it will entail. But you're training so intensely during this time to ensure that you're in the best condition for the training, right? Yes. Kira Ryosuke answered earnestly. Because I have a feeling that there will be top players from all over the country participating in this training, and I don't want to lose to them. Although Kira Ryosuke wasn't particularly interested in football at the moment, when it came to being targeted, he would do everything in his power to excel. Perhaps, it was his persistence as a former manga artist. Aida Rico didn't respond immediately. Instead, she looked into Kira Ryosuke's eyes, confirming his seriousness and determination. A bright smile appeared on her face, and she handed him the list she had just written. Well then, you better give it your all. But I have to let you know, there's no room for carelessness in training. I'm a very strict person, and even though you're a local rising star, I won't go easy on you. Don't worry, I'll follow Coach Rico's instructions. Kira Ryosuke responded playfully. Let's get started then. After some preparation work, Kira Ryosuke began practicing according to the exercise list arranged by Aida Rico. First, there was the core strength section. The so-called core referred to the central part of the body, including the area below the shoulder joints and above the hip joints, including the pelvis. The core muscles played a role in stabilizing balance and transmitting power. They were the main component of overall force production and played a pivotal role in the movement and exertion of the upper and lower limbs. Strong core muscles provided stability and support for body posture, movement skills, and specialized technical actions. It could be said that core strength was the most important aspect for an athlete. First, there were regular planks, which were very simple for Kira Ryosuke. However, the difficulty gradually increased with dynamic planks, alternating side planks with leg lifts, side planks with hip raises. These movements didn't appear to be difficult, but performing a certain number of repetitions in a short period of time required enough strength to support them. Aida Rico had assigned Kira Ryosuke a training program with high intensity and very dense exercises. Since Kira Ryosuke had shown his determination, she couldn't afford to slack off either. Chapter 6, This is the Realm Beyond Genius. 98. 99. 100. Soon, Kira Ryosuke completed his 7th set of exercises. After finishing, he heard a voice from the system. Congratulations! You have earned 3 competitiveness points. For every accumulated hour of physical exercise, Kira Ryosuke could earn a certain amount of competitiveness points. This high-intensity training was very challenging for Kira Ryosuke. The training intensity at school was far from what he was experiencing now. However, he gritted his teeth and persevered with his determination. He had only 1 week left, and he needed to make a breakthrough. Once he made up his mind, he had to go all out. Watching Kira Ryosuke practice so diligently, Aida Rico nodded in satisfaction. At the same time, she found her father, Aida Tora, and asked him to prepare some specific ingredients for Kira Ryosuke. Football players have high demands for physical strength, so they need to consume a large amount of carbohydrates to replenish energy. Fruits and bread are easily digestible by the body and are suitable choices. They also need lean meat for protein, potassium-rich foods like bananas to maintain electrolyte balance, and alkaline foods like soy products or dairy products to alleviate fatigue. All these things together aren't cheap, Aida Tora said to his daughter. We can deduct the cost from his advertising fees later. After all, his advertising fees are much more expensive than tuition fees. Aida Rico smiled and said, turning her head to look at the entrance. The gym was open, and people were gradually coming in. Wait, is that Kira Ryosuke? The one who won the district championship yesterday. He's called the gem of the football world. He's actually working out at this gym. Boss, I want to renew my membership. At dusk, the sun slowly descended, painting the sky a fiery red, like a burning flame. You've worked hard. I'll head back now. See you tomorrow. Kira Ryosuke waved goodbye to Aida Rico and left the gym. He's a young man with a lot of determination. He reminds me of how I used to be, Aida Tora said expressionlessly as he watched Kira Ryosuke's departing figure. He's indeed a very good player. He has some fame, but he doesn't have any arrogance. And to face such high-intensity training without a single complaint, even some adults wouldn't be able to handle that, Aida. Rico replied. Ah, to be honest, I really didn't expect you to bring a boy home this morning. I thought you had found a boyfriend. I was almost ready to kill him, Aida Kaitora said, without any hint of joking, while patting his pocket and revealing a fruit knife hidden inside. What are you talking about? Aida. Rico's face turned red, and she raised her hand, punching her father's chin. At night, Kira Ryosuke returned home. He had already eaten dinner at the gym, so he lay down for a while. The fatigue from a day of training had eased considerably. Although Aida Rico had designed a training program with high intensity, it was indeed the fastest way to quickly address his weaknesses in the short term. It achieved results that couldn't be attained through blind practice or training with the team. He opened his system menu and saw that he had reached the daily maximum of 10 competitiveness points. There are still 7 days left, which means I can accumulate a total of 80 competitiveness points. It will take some time before I unlock the second form. And before that, I'll need competitiveness points to upgrade full concentration breathing and the first form if I want to reach maximum proficiency. There's still a long way to go, Kira Ryosuke thought to himself. After resting for a while, Kira Ryosuke wasn't planning to idle around. He decided to go for a jog around the streets near his home. He had already maxed out his competitiveness points for the day through training, so even if he continued with other exercises, he wouldn't be able to earn more competitiveness points. However, Kira Ryosuke continued his practice not to earn competitiveness points but to train his body. With the improvement of his skill proficiency and physical strength, he should be able to use the system's abilities more freely. During the day, he practiced his ball skills, and in the afternoon, he focused on physical training. Now, Kira Ryosuke was preparing to practice breathing techniques. Unlike sprinting, jogging was an aerobic exercise that improved cardiovascular function and oxygen capacity, which was exactly what the breathing techniques required. In the darkness of night, Kira Ryosuke jogged while rhythmically adjusting his breathing frequency, recalling the feeling of using the breathing techniques during the day. Using the breathing techniques allowed a person to have a momentary burst of power. In the world of Demon Slayer, the swordsman of the Demon Slayer Corps could use the breathing technique to match the strength of the demons, who possessed powers far beyond that of humans. The more powerful swordsman could even maintain a constant state of full concentration breathing, using it throughout the day to give their physical abilities a tremendous boost. However, Kira Ryosuke was far from achieving such a level. He couldn't even maintain full concentration breathing for an extended period of time, it was basically just a brief moment. But it was precisely because of this that he knew he needed more practice. He recalled the feeling of breathing during the day and quietly adjusted his breathing frequency. Full concentration breathing. Kira Ryosuke felt the oxygen rushing into his lungs instantly transforming into energy, filling his whole body. The weight of his body seemed to disappear. Full concentration breathing greatly enhanced the body's abilities, but Kira Ryosuke hadn't fully mastered this ability yet. He could only maintain it for a moment, and it also required some time to recuperate before using it again. While running, Kira Ryosuke tried his best to increase the frequency of using full concentration breathing. On his 5th attempt to enter the state of full concentration breathing, a new method emerged in Kira Ryosuke's mind. A thunderclap flash. Kira Ryosuke unleashed his technique once again, and the power that had been flowing within him instantly surged into his legs. And then, he released the power with a forceful dash forward. At that moment, Kira Ryosuke felt as if he was flying. Soon, a familiar and distinct soreness swept over him again, and this time it affected both of his legs. However, compared to during the day, Kira Ryosuke seemed to be feeling better. Leaning against the wall, he gasped for breath and used the methods taught by Aida Rico during the day to alleviate the soreness. At the same time, he turned his head to look in the direction he had just come from. In an instant, he had leaped several meters, something that even his original self couldn't have done. That was the realm achieved by surpassing genius. Chapter 7, Upgrade. Skill LV2. Just like during the day, although intermittent use is not a problem, each instance of full concentration breathing still only lasts a moment. The thunderclap flash seems to be an ability that increases leg explosiveness in an instant. It can be used not only for shooting but also for breakthrough runs. When combined with full concentration breathing, it can have a very exaggerated effect. It affects both legs, although the soreness is less than that of shooting. However, it can only be used at critical moments. Even if I'm not in a state of full concentration breathing, this skill still has a fairly wide range of applications. In the short term, I should find it difficult to maintain the use of the breathing technique for a long time, so I must fully integrate the fundamental skills. Kira Ryosuke wiped the sweat from his forehead. Although the soreness hadn't completely dissipated, he didn't dislike this feeling. The proficiency of full concentration breathing was gradually improving. In the following days, Kira Ryosuke would go to the field to train before the sun rose. Due to the commotion caused on the first day, he didn't use thunderclap flash in a state of full concentration breathing on the field again. Instead, he practiced the technique in a normal state. Furthermore, one crucial point was that a match lasted more than 90 minutes. Kira Ryosuke knew the limits of his abilities at the moment. Even if he was praised as a genius or a treasure, it was far from enough. Full concentration breathing could temporarily enhance his physical capabilities, but the time he could maintain full concentration breathing during a match was limited. Moreover, once he used thunderclap flash in this state, he couldn't use the technique again for a short period. Therefore, the basic version of thunderclap flash became even more important. Kira Ryosuke needed to practice the accuracy of shooting with thunderclap flash, as well as his speed with the ball. And at this time every day, Aida Rico would also come to the gym for morning training. This was Kira Ryosuke's exclusive skill practice time, and she wouldn't disturb him. At most, she would join him in some warm-up exercises. However, sometimes, while Aida Rico was doing her morning training, she couldn't help but get lost watching Kira Ryosuke practice. The skills and speed he displayed were beyond her imagination. Of course, she had to admit that Kira Ryosuke had a very handsome face. After the sun had fully risen, more people started coming to the gym. Aida Rico then took Kira Ryosuke to the fitness room for the most important physical training. Kira Ryosuke spent almost the entire day there, even having his lunch and dinner in the gym. In the evening, Kira Ryosuke continued practicing the breathing technique. He would go jogging outside, adjusting his breathing and trying to incorporate the explosiveness of thunderclap flash into his running. He even bought a gourd like the characters in the original Demon Slayer manga and blew air into it every day to train his lung capacity. Unbeknownst to him, a week had quietly passed. Time flew by, and it was soon the last day before reporting to the Football Association. It was now evening, and Kira Ryosuke had just finished his final day of physical training. He rinsed off the sweat in the gym's shower room. Feeling the gentle water flow washing away today's fatigue and sweat, Kira Ryosuke opened his system interface. Competitive, thunder breathing, full concentration LV1, proficiency 100%, upgradable, 50 competitive points. Competitive, thunder breathing first form, thunderclap flash LV1, proficiency 100%, upgradable, 50 competitive points. Current competitive points, 80. After this period of training, Kira Ryosuke had finally maxed out the proficiency of full concentration breathing and thunderclap flash. He had been practicing shooting over 1,000 times every morning and had consistently trained in the breathing technique at night. Although 7 days is not a long time, Kira Ryosuke can indeed feel his visible progress during this period. In terms of physical fitness, Kira Ryosuke has made significant improvements compared to himself a week ago. The efficiency of improvement has exceeded his expectations. This is not only due to the derivative effects of practicing the breathing technique but also the result of the specially customized intensive training by Aida Rico. Additionally, balanced meals every day have ensured the efficiency of his workouts. During this period, the practice of lung capacity and breathing techniques has gradually improved Kira Ryosuke's mastery of full concentration breathing. Although he can still only maintain it for 2 to 3 seconds at a time and can only use it intermittently, the intervals between uses have also shortened. Not only that, with the improvement of physical fitness and the increasing proficiency of the breathing technique, Kira Ryosuke's negative reaction when using thunderclap flash in the state of full concentration breathing has also diminished. Moreover, his left-footed shooting skills have become more proficient, and he can use thunderclap flash to shoot with a high level of accuracy, which was something the original owner of his body couldn't achieve. Kira Ryosuke brings his thoughts back to reality and refocuses his attention on these two skills, contemplating which one he should prioritize upgrading now. If I upgrade full concentration breathing, I should be able to prolong the duration of each time I enter the state of full concentration breathing, allowing me to use the breathing technique more frequently. If I upgrade thunderclap flash, it should enhance the skill's power and reduce its side effects. From the current perspective, upgrading full concentration breathing should be more important. It can improve my physical abilities, increase the efficiency of my training, and tomorrow, I'll only be entering the blue lock. There's still time for physical conditioning and adaptation. There's a 3-day gap until the first official football match. With these thoughts in mind, Kira Ryosuke makes his decision. Upgrade successful. Competitive, Thunder Breathing, Full Concentration LV2, Proficiency Reset. Competitive, Thunder Breathing, Full Concentration LV2, Proficiency, 0%. Current competitive points, 30. A system prompt flashes before Kira Ryosuke's eyes, and he can feel an invisible force surging into his body. After the upgrade, the proficiency of the skill is reset, and he needs to practice it again. However, Kira Ryosuke is aware that it will require more effort and time to fill the proficiency gauge again. The competitive points needed to reach higher levels will also increase. He closes his eyes, adjusts his breathing, and feels the difference between LV2 full concentration breathing and the previous level. He clearly feels oxygen rushing into his lungs, converting into strength in his body. After a while, Kira Ryosuke opens his eyes and returns to his normal breathing state. The duration of each time has increased significantly, from 2 to 3 seconds to over 10 seconds. The intervals between uses also seem to have shortened. I should be able to use it more frequently in a match. Although it's just a few seconds of extension, the increase in explosive power is crucial. For someone running at high speed, even a second can make a significant difference in distance. Chapter 8, You Clearly Covet My Body. After taking a shower, Kira Ryosuke walks out of the bathroom wearing only sports shorts, intending to go back to the changing room to put on his clothes. However, there is a slender figure waiting here for a while. Aida Rico. Rico? What are you doing here? This is the men's changing room, right? I thought this would be a good opportunity to observe the results of your training during this period. This way, my eyes can be more accurate, so I don't have to bother you to take off your shirt later. While Aida Rico speaks, her gaze keeps wandering over Kira Ryosuke's body. His physique was already good, and after a week of training, his body has become even more well-defined. Broad shoulders, a firm chest, and clearly defined abdominal muscles. This is a perfect physique that peers simply cannot possess. Both explosive power and endurance have improved significantly compared to before. This is the result of Kira Ryosuke maintaining a week of high-intensity training. However, these results are even better than Aida Rico expected. Unconsciously, she finds herself somewhat mesmerized by Kira Ryosuke's body. Hey, Rico! Are you really analyzing my body measurements? What's that at the corner of your mouth? Is that drool? It's drool, right? No way. Aida Rico's consciousness is abruptly brought back to reality, and she suddenly feels embarrassed. 2 blushes appear on her fair cheeks, making it very noticeable. At the same time, she reaches out her hand to wipe the corner of her mouth. You've achieved great success in your training. That's good. But Rico, you should leave first. After all, this is the men's changing room. If your dad finds out, he'll kill me, won't he? Am I that kind of person? And at that moment, the door of the nearby wardrobe slowly opens, and Aida Tora emerges from it, holding a kitchen knife. A period of silence spreads among the three. Mr. Aida. What are you doing? Kira Ryosuke wipes the water off his forehead, unsure if it's the remaining water or sweat. Haha, I just happened to pass by here. It's not like I saw my precious daughter sneaking into the men's changing room and secretly followed her. And it's definitely not because if you dare to lay a hand on my precious daughter, I'll kill you on the spot. Mr. Aida, please put away the kitchen knife before talking. It's fine, I'll leave now. You guys can chat. After hearing that, Aida Yoshi hides the kitchen knife behind him and whistles as he quickly leaves the area. However, Kira Ryosuke can still sense a faint but lingering killing intent. Aida Tora hasn't gone far. Today is the last day of training. Tomorrow, you'll be going into closed training, right? Aida Rico looks up at Kira Ryosuke and then shifts her gaze elsewhere. The blush on her face hasn't completely faded. How long will it be? I'm not sure either. The invitation didn't mention anything. Kira Ryosuke shrugs his shoulders. He knows that once he enters the blue lock, if he wants to go all the way, it will take at least several months. But there is a special mechanism in place there, where accumulated goals can be exchanged for privileges, including the option to go out for a day. Okay. Then you have to do your best. Though they probably take away your phones, if possible, make sure to contact me right away if you need any help. After all, you're the face of our gym. Aida. Rico's gaze once again returns to Kira Ryosuke's face. And a smile appears on Kira Ryosuke's face. It's a deal. The next afternoon, Kira Ryosuke arrives at his destination, the Football Association. Perhaps due to the alteration in the timeline, he doesn't encounter the original male protagonist, Yoichi Isagi, outside the association building. He enters the building and arrives at the meeting room as specified in the invitation. The moment he opens the door, countless pairs of eyes fall upon Kira Ryosuke. They are all promising forwards invited by the Football Association. Apart from Kira Ryosuke, there are 299 other individuals. Forwards play a role akin to a piercing knife in the team. In simple terms, their role on the field is to tear apart the opponent's defense and score goals. The so-called Blue Lock program aims to cultivate an unprecedented and unrivaled super forward. Kira Ryosuke's gaze sweeps over all the individuals present, and he immediately recognizes many of them. These individuals are also looking at him in the same way. In his daily life, he is accustomed to receiving respectful and admiring gazes from those around him. But now, there is more hostility. Talent and ability hold no value in this place. Many of the players inside are the star players of their respective teams, just like Kira Ryosuke himself. A genius is only exceptional when placed among ordinary individuals, but when geniuses gather together, each one becomes mediocre unless they are the genius among geniuses. Long time no see, Kira-kun. A familiar voice comes from the side, and Kira Ryosuke turns his head to see a familiar figure. Isagi Yoichi, the protagonist of the original work, is from the team that was eliminated by Kira Ryosuke's team last week. Hello, Isagi-kun. Kira Ryosuke politely responds to the other person. According to the plot progression, he and Isagi Yoichi will be assigned to the same team within the Blue Lock. Soon after, there will be the initial assessment, the stage where the original body was eliminated. However, this timeline is about to change. Congratulations, all you budding football stars. A loud voice emanates from the speakers in the meeting room. Just like in the original, the initiator of the Blue Lock, Ego Jinpachi, a peculiar, thin, bespectacled man appears and gives a speech about the Blue Lock program, explaining its purpose and rules to everyone present. To select the strongest forward. At the same time, to bury the futures of the other 299 individuals in the football field. But despite the brutal consequences of failure, not one of the 300 invited players shows any signs of backing down. Each and every one of them aspires to become the number one forward. Soon, the 300 young players board separate buses and embark on the journey to the Blue Lock. Inside the bus, Kira Ryosuke takes out his phone. Once they arrive at the Blue Lock, everyone will have to surrender their phones, so he wants to use it now while he still can. As soon as he unlocks the screen, Kira Ryosuke notices several unread messages. Rico, Ryosuke, have you arrived? Rico, what's the situation over there? Rico, has the training program for enhanced players been announced? Kira Ryosuke promptly relays the information that Ego Jinpachi just spoke about to Aida. Rico. Chapter 9, Arrival at the Blue Lock, Assessment begins. What? This is ridiculous. In Aida Gym, Aida Rico shows her father, Aida Kage Tora, the message Kira Ryosuke just sent her. Those who fail will permanently lose their eligibility for the national team? Is this some kind of joke? It's like directly ending a player's future. It doesn't seem like a joke. According to my old friend, the Football Association is going to hold a press conference in a few days to announce a very important project. It's probably the Blue Lock that Ryosuke mentioned. Aida Keisuke's expression becomes serious. As a former professional athlete and a top trainer, he has some connections within the Football Association, so he is aware of certain things. This is not a joke. Well, if Ryosuke... A worried expression fills Aida Rico's face. She swallows the words she wants to say, but after a few seconds, her expression changes, as if she has gained a firm belief in something. If it's Ryosuke, maybe he can really break through. After all, although he usually appears very cheerful and casual, once he gets serious, he really transforms. Yeah, that guy is different from other players I've seen. I hope he shines there. Thanks to him, the revenue of our gym increased by 30% last week. Although he says it jokingly, Aida Kage Tora squints his eyes slightly, his gaze projecting into the distance. He can sense the unknown potential within Kira Ryosuke. Rico, good luck. Don't embarrass our Aida gym. Rico, how's the food there? Make sure to pay attention to nutrition. Rico, also, even if you're there, don't forget to exercise. If not, just wait and see. Seeing the messages sent by Aida Rico, Kira Ryosuke smiles and after replying a few sentences, he puts his phone down. Because they had arrived at the building called the Blue Lock. It was a pentagonal complex consisting of 5 almost identical buildings connected together. Inside, various high-tech devices filled the space, which was not something one would normally see. It's evident that the Football Association had allocated a considerable budget for the Blue Lock project. The 300 players were immediately divided into 5 groups and sent to 5 different buildings. Each group was further divided into 5 different zones. After passing through strict security checks, Kira Ryosuke surrendered his phone, stored his luggage, and received a special set of football jerseys. On the shoulder of the jersey, a combination of numbers and letters was prominently displayed, 289Z. In the original work, Eigo Jinpachi claimed that this combination represented the player's ranking among the 300 participants. However, Kira Ryosuke knew very well that the number held no significance at this moment. It was just a small trick deliberately employed by Eigo Jinpachi to undermine the players' confidence and make them feel pressured. Following the signs in the building, Kira Ryosuke arrived at the room marked with the letter Z. There were 12 people in each room, and in the Z room, the other 11 had already gathered. Kira Ryosuke's gaze swept over them, and he knew each person's identity and their unique abilities. The man lying on the floor sleeping was called Bakura Meguru, known for his excellent dribbling skills and a free-spirited style of play. Next to him, changing clothes, was Kunigami Ransuke, a dignified individual with a sturdy physique and a powerful left-footed shooting ability. A person with long red hair and a delicate face resembling that of a woman sat on the side. His name was Chijiri Hyoma, possessing unparalleled speed. However, due to a career-threatening injury in the past, he had never been able to fully unleash his abilities. Kira Ryosuke knew that his journey in the Blue Lock had officially begun. Soon, he would face the first round of selection. Kira, it's great to see a familiar face here. In the room, Isagi Yoichi, who was also assigned to the Z team, greeted Kira Ryosuke with a smile. Yeah, it's great. Kira Ryosuke responded politely. In the original work, Isagi Yoichi, despite not appearing outstanding in terms of abilities, possessed eyes that could see the big picture and played a role in connecting the whole team. Moreover, in the original work, it was Isagi Yoichi who directly caused the original character's elimination. But ultimately, it was a combination of luck and the original character's lack of preparedness for participating in the Blue Lock project that led to his elimination. Kira Ryosuke wouldn't make the same mistakes. Have you all changed into your uniforms, fellow budding stars? On the walls made of steel, a massive display screen projected the somewhat eerie face of Eigo Jinpachi. Underneath the thick lenses, a pair of pitch-black eyes emitted a cunning gaze. Pay attention. The people in the same room as you are not only your roommates but also your competitors to mutually improve. I have quantified your abilities and ranked you accordingly. The number on your opponent represents their ranked. As they listened to Eigo Jinpachi's words, each person confirmed their own number and began to exchange glances to verify each other's numbers. Their gazes eventually converged on one person. Kira Ryosuke. In the Z team, the rankings range from 289 to 300, consisting of 12 consecutive numbers, which means Kira Ryosuke is the strongest among them. The strongest person is often the one who becomes the primary target. Alright, it's time for Ghost Tag. You have 136 seconds, and whoever touches the ball becomes the ghost. At the moment the countdown ends, the person who is the ghost should pack up and leave. Oh, and no handballs allowed. With little introduction, Eigo Jinpachi announced the details of the first selection. In short, the last person to be touched by the ball before the time runs out will be eliminated. This tests the forward's mobility and reaction speed. The original character failed to notice this and didn't realize the cruelty within the Blue Lock, leading to his elimination. As soon as Eigo Jinpachi finished speaking, a small opening appeared in the ceiling made up of dozens of metal blocks, and a football ball dropped from it. At the same time, the countdown appeared on the big screen, along with a name. Igarashi Kyuraimu. While others were still puzzled, a short boy with a hairstyle resembling a monk stepped forward to the ball. He was the owner of the name Igarashi Kyuraimu. Kira Ryosuke carefully observed Igarashi Kyuraimu. In the original work, he could be described as a complete goofball. Despite having bottom-tier abilities in every aspect, he always managed to align himself with the right people without even trying, achieving success without any effort and even making it to the end. In a sense, the blue lock also had an element of unfair luck. Chapter 10. Wait, did you just call me a sacrificial lamb? I'll be the ghost as the lowest ranked one. Come on, bring it on. Let's not hold grudges no matter who loses. Igarashi Gyuraimua stepped. After hesitating for about 10 seconds, Igarashi Gyuraimua finally made a move. Like a headless fly, he dribbled towards the crowd. However, in terms of physical fitness and football skills, he was definitely at the absolute bottom, unable to even come close to touching anyone. Kira Ryosuke knew what he would do next. The unfolding events here were almost identical to the original work. Scanning his surroundings, searching for suitable targets. Even before it began, he was already drenched in sweat. After about a minute of wasting time, Igarashi Gyuraimua finally found a suitable target. It was Bakura, who was still sleeping on the ground. But just as Igarashi Gyuraimua was about to kick the ball, Bakura, who was lying down, instantly bounced up and intentionally kicked Igarashi Gyuraimua in the face. Hey, isn't that a foul? You should definitely get a red card for that. The only thing prohibited is handball, right? Bakura responded with a sleepy look. Hey, don't use such sneaky tactics. Let's settle it openly and fairly. Kunigami Ryosuke extended his hand and placed it on Bakura's shoulder. Being straightforward by nature, he didn't like Bakura's non-football methods. However, before he could finish speaking, the ball had already hit him. Igarashi Gyuraimua excitedly stuck out his tongue, feeling thrilled about his successful sneak attack. The name on the screen changed from Igarashi Gyuraimua to Kunigami Ryosuke. You damn Igarashi! I'm going to take you down. Kunigami Ryosuke was infuriated by Igarashi Gyuraimua's despicable method. Veins popped on his face as he lifted his foot, preparing to kick the ball forcefully towards Igarashi Gyuraimua. Immediately, Igarashi Gyuraimua scanned his surroundings, looking for a shield to protect himself from Kunigami Ryosuke's furious strike. And the closest person to him was Kira Ryosuke. Found my sacrificial lamb. Igarashi Gyuraimua clung onto Kira Ryosuke's body like a monkey, hiding behind him while forcefully restraining his arms, attempting to restrict his movements. Kira. On the other side, Isagi called out with some concern. After all, Kira Ryosuke was the only person in this room that he was relatively familiar with. At this moment, the expression on Igarashi Gyuraimua's face, who was still smug about his cleverness, changed. His smile gradually disappeared. He felt as if he was clinging onto a hard stone, unable to even budge Kira Ryosuke's arms. This person named Kira Ryosuke possessed a terrifying physique that was no less formidable than Kunigami Ryosuke. He didn't know that this physique was the result of devilish training and complemented by breathing techniques. At the same time, Igarashi Gyuraimua's gaze met Kira Ryosuke's slight turn of the head, and the person in front of him looked completely different from the polite demeanor he had when he entered. Who was this person? Where did he come from? Almost instinctively, Igarashi Gyuraimua released his grip on Kira Ryosuke's hand and ran in the opposite direction. And all of this was observed by Bakura. He actually got scared and ran away? Just like a monkey seeing a lion. How interesting. Bakura stared intently at Kira Ryosuke, a smile of anticipation appearing on his face. Ah! Kunigami Ryosuke made an angry shot, unable to change direction. It flew straight towards Kira Ryosuke, and the terrifying speed of the ball revealed the immense power contained within it. If a slender person were hit by this strike, it would be difficult for them to stand up again. However, Kira Ryosuke had no intention of dodging. He caught the ball with his sturdy chest, slightly leaning his body to absorb the force, stopping the ball in front of him, and then stepping on it. Just now, did you call me your sacrificial lamb? Kira Ryosuke's lion-like gaze fell upon Igarashi Gyuraimua. It was as if he was declaring his hunting target. In the original work, Igarashi Gyuraimua was basically someone who relied on luck, cleverness, and clinging to the powerful to make it to the later stages. His character was also quite erratic, and Kira Ryosuke didn't have any favorable impression of him. But when Igarashi Gyuraimua just used himself as a shield, he had already provoked Kira Ryosuke, essentially walking into his own death. At the same time, Kira Ryosuke knew that one person had to be eliminated from this round, and the remaining individuals would form a temporary team to compete for a spot in the next stage against other teams. Since the target had been selected, Kira Ryosuke would go as far as possible to achieve his goal by choosing the path with the highest chances of success. Combining his own sufficient strength with the route that had the highest probability of victory was the most likely way to accomplish the objective. And Igarashi Kyuraimu, who had almost no effect, was the most suitable candidate to be eliminated. It could be said that since Kira Ryosuke participated in this selection, Igarashi Kyuraimu was destined to stop here. Kira Ryosuke didn't dodge the shot from Kunigami Ransuke because, on one hand, he wanted to further confirm the extent of his physical abilities and the coordination with his breathing technique. On the other hand, he wanted to control the possession of the ball and be the one to decide who would be eliminated. In the blue lock filled with forwards, Kira Ryosuke knew that he didn't need to assert dominance within the team to smoothly progress through the next, even more brutal, round of selection. Although only one person would ultimately be able to escape from the blue lock, teamwork was still necessary at this stage. Furthermore, doing so would also prevent unexpected situations, especially from someone like Bakura. If Bakura gained possession of the ball, he would definitely come directly to challenge Kira Ryosuke one-on-one, which was unnecessary trouble. What level of physical strength? Everyone present was somewhat surprised, especially Isagi. As the only person who had ever fought against Kira Ryosuke, Isagi knew that his opponent was very strong. But he didn't expect Kira Ryosuke to be this strong. In last week's match, although Isagi's team ultimately lost, they simply didn't seize the opportunity for a comeback. Isagi felt that Kira Ryosuke was formidable, far surpassing himself, with a gap in strength that seemed insurmountable. And at this moment, Isagi instinctively felt that the difference between himself and Kira Ryosuke was probably multiple times greater. The name on the screen had also changed to Kira Ryosuke. It seems like we won't be able to snatch possession of the ball. Kira, this is too boring. Bakura rubbed his head with a somewhat dejected expression. Time passed little by little, but Kira Ryosuke showed no sign of attacking. However, his intentions were already clear. Igarashi Kyuraimu was his target, and the others temporarily stopped moving and evading. Chapter 11, Kira Ryosuke, the Overlooked Beast. It was just an accident earlier, don't be so fixated on it. Igarashi Kyuraimu forced a smile, realizing that his earlier actions had caused a big problem, and everyone knew about his little cleverness. They all kept their distance, not giving Igarashi Kyuraimu a chance to use them as shields. Damn it! Igarashi Kyuraimu complained inwardly, while his heart raced, almost bursting out of his chest. He used his peripheral vision to observe the countdown on the screen. 10 seconds left. It looks like Kira Ryosuke is planning to strike in the last second. That way, he won't give me a chance to counterattack. But as long as I avoid it, he'll be the one eliminated. I have a chance. And it's not small. The shorter the time, the easier it is for me to judge when he'll make his move. The distance between us isn't that short, I should be able to react in time. With this thought, a glimmer of confidence ignited in Igarashi Kyuraimu's heart. 8. 7. Time passed little by little. And at this moment, Kira Ryosuke spoke up. I know what you're thinking. I believe that attacking in the last second won't give you a chance to counterattack. 6. 5. But actually, I just want to tell you that kicking you right now is an effortless task. You may think you can react to this distance, but you're mistaken. Kira Ryosuke's tone was calm, without any anger. 4. 3. 2. Kira Ryosuke swung his leg and once again entered a state of complete concentration in his breathing. His heartbeat accelerated, his breath quickened, and the flow of blood in his body increased, as if it were about to boil. Everyone around could feel the immense aura emanating from Kira Ryosuke. They momentarily forgot how to breathe, and no one dared to blink, afraid of missing this crucial moment. Igarashi Kyuraimu's legs even felt a bit weak. In the last second, Kira Ryosuke's right foot drew a beautiful arc, fiercely kicking the ball. This strike didn't use the ability of Thunderclap Flash, but with the enhancement of the total concentration breathing technique, it was more than enough to hit Igarashi Kyuraimu. Kira Ryosuke already possessed strength beyond his peers, and the total concentration breathing further amplified his power, making this shot full of strength. His goal was to showcase his strength in front of the Z team. The tremendous power gave the ball an exaggerated acceleration, directly hitting Igarashi Kyuraimu. The latter didn't have any time to react and was struck by the immense force, retreating several meters and sitting paralyzed on the ground. 0. Time's up. The name on the screen froze on Igarashi Kyuraimu. The piercing sound of a bell echoed throughout the room, signaling the end of the game. Dear football prodigies, here results reign supreme. The loser is Igarashi Kyuraimu. You can leave now, as you have lost your qualifications. The screen changed once again, and the gloomy face of Igo Jinpachi appeared, almost filling the entire screen. This. How could my career be decided by such a game? It's ridiculous. Igarashi Kyuraimu protested in frustration, trying to fight for a last chance. His body trembled with excitement. But he was met with Igo Jinpachi's cold mockery. Haven't you noticed? The size of this room is the same as the penalty area. And this game simulates the activities of a forward in the penalty area, testing reaction speed, dribbling speed, and shooting skills in motion. It's genuine football training, you fool. And you're not qualified. Igarashi Kyuraimu, you've been played like an easy prey by someone else. Igo Jinpachi's gaze seemed to momentarily shift to Kira Ryosuke. Igarashi Kyuraimu was still in a daze, wanting to say something. But the feelings of resentment and regret that surged within him prevented any words from coming out. He could only emit a deep groan from his throat. In this space enclosed by metal walls, everyone's gaze was fixed on Igarashi Kyuraimu. At this moment, he knelt on the ground, completely still, like a broken puppet. His face was filled with shadows, his teeth clenched, but he couldn't utter a word. Everything happening now felt unreal to him. Being eliminated in the blue lock meant that his football career was completely terminated. The reason Igarashi Kyuraimu came here was to change his fate. His family wanted him to become a monk, but the only way to change everything was to achieve something in the field of football and become a member of the national team. And that dream had been completely shattered by Kira Ryosuke. The door of the room opened at this moment, seemingly urging him to leave quickly. Igarashi Kyuraimu stood up tremblingly, as if he had just experienced a nightmare, and staggered out of the room. In the room, only 11 people remained, and an eerie silence spread among them. Congratulations, you rough diamonds! You have finally passed the selection and earned the qualification to live in the blue lock. There are exactly 11 people in this room. From now on, you will be a team that lives together, sometimes helping each other, sometimes betraying each other. You are the Z team of the blue lock. Igo Jinpachi said with a smile. In the next few days, you will undergo physical tests. Enjoy your life in the blue lock. After finishing his words, the screen on the wall went blank and turned pitch black. In the control room of the blue lock's core, Igo Jinpachi sat in a chair, leaning forward, staring intently at the surveillance screen divided into countless small squares in front of him. His glasses were almost touching the screen. What's the matter, Mr. Igo? Is there a particular player you're interested in? Beside Igo Jinpachi, there was a woman in uniform who asked. She had impressive curves and a delicate face. She was Taira Ryanri, a new staff member of the Football Association. It was she who collaborated with Igo Jinpachi on the Blue Lock project and assisted him in handling various matters, big and small. No, they are all just rough diamonds. They are far from shining as they should. There is no existence worth paying attention to, Igo Jinpachi replied, leaning back on his chair with his back against it. He casually pushed his glasses up, seemingly indifferent. Although he answered that way, his gaze involuntarily lingered for an extra second on a particular person in the screen. Kira Ryosuke. It seems that there is a beast in the blue lock that I didn't notice before, he thought to himself. Chapter 12, Demonstrate Strength, Gradually Control the Team. All 300 forwards were carefully selected by Igo Jinpachi, and he had done thorough research on them before they arrived at the blue lock, including Kira Ryosuke. With excellent football skills, decent talent, and personal charisma, Igo Jinpachi believed that, following the normal process, Kira Ryosuke would become an exceptional football player. However, Kira Ryosuke was not the kind of forward that Igo Jinpachi desired. He needed a powerhouse forward with formidable scoring abilities. While Kira Ryosuke could reach an excellent level, he didn't meet Igo Jinpachi's expectations. Moreover, Igo Jinpachi believed that someone with Kira Ryosuke's personality wouldn't go far in the blue lock. But now, Kira Ryosuke's performance exceeded Igo Jinpachi's expectations. He seemed to adapt quickly to the environment and rules of the blue lock. He made decisive judgments without any hesitation, and whether intentional or unintentional, Kira Ryosuke indeed demonstrated his strength to the others in the team. He would gradually gain control over this team. Igo Jinpachi was very curious about what kind of performance Kira Ryosuke would show in the blue lock from now on. In the room of Team Z, Some time had passed since Ego Jinpachi finished speaking, but no one said a word. The sudden elimination selection had put a considerable amount of pressure on their hearts. Igarashi Kyuraimu, to most of them, was just a name. His football career had been completely terminated. Although others didn't have any favorable impression of Igarashi Kyuraimu, seeing how he had average talent, a carefree personality, and liked to show off some cleverness, almost everyone felt a strange sensation about the act of directly depriving someone of their future. Survival of the fittest, that was the law of the Blue Lock. At this moment, the familiar sound of the system rang in Kira Ryosuke's ears once again. Congratulations! You have gained 10 competition points. Even the game of Ghost is considered a competition to earn points. It seems that any competitive event related to football can earn points. Kira Ryosuke crossed his hands over his chest and thought to himself. Although 10 competition points are a bit few, it's understandable since this is not an official match. Once the official matches begin, I'll definitely be able to earn more points. That way, I can unlock more techniques to enrich my attacking arsenal on the field. Meanwhile, Kunigami was staring intently at Kira Ryosuke not far away. The fact that Kira Ryosuke just received the ball with his chest, which Kunigami had forcefully kicked at him, and successfully controlled it indicated that this person was outstanding in both physicality and skills. He had heard of the name Kira Ryosuke before, but he never expected him to be this strong. I wasn't aiming that ball at you. I'm really sorry, Kunigami said. Kunigami walked up to Kira Ryosuke and apologized. Although the test was over, the ball that was originally aimed at Igarashi Kyuraimu unexpectedly hit Kira Ryosuke. This made Kunigami, who always acted with integrity, feel a bit embarrassed. It's all right. We both passed the selection, and from now on, we're teammates in the same team. Please take care of me. Kira Ryosuke smiled and politely responded to Kunigami. He would become very serious about the things he had decided to do, but in normal circumstances, Kira Ryosuke was also a cheerful and easygoing person. Now that we're part of the same team, let's get along well. We'll need to fight side by side in the future. I'm Kira Ryosuke, pleased to meet you. As Kira Ryosuke finished speaking, he extended his hand. Yeah, I'm Kunigami Ransuke. Pleased to meet you too. Kunigami could sense that Kira Ryosuke was generally an easy person to get along with, so he shook hands with him. Soon, Kira Ryosuke gathered the other members of the team together, and they took turns introducing themselves. After all, they would be a team for a long time, and it was important to get to know each other. This also helped ease the awkward atmosphere and lighten everyone's mood. I'm Isaji Yoichi from Ikanon High School. Pleased to meet you. I'm Kyuon Wataru. Let's do our best together. Chijiri Hyoma. After a round of self-introductions, the tense atmosphere relaxed considerably. Kira Ryosuke's cheerful personality and occasional jokes helped him establish good relationships with many people. After chatting for a while, everyone went their separate ways. In the absence of any specific arrangements, the people in Blue Lock were allowed to freely move within designated areas. The cafeteria, shower room, field, gym, the facilities here were fully equipped, allowing them to create their own daily training plans. At this moment, many members of Team Z were planning to explore the surroundings and get familiar with the environment. Kira, would you like to have a meal together? At that moment, Isaji Yoichi walked up to Kira Ryosuke and asked quietly. Sure, I was actually thinking of going to the cafeteria too, Kira Ryosuke replied with a smile, nodding his head. They then left the room together and arrived at the cafeteria. It was a shared area for the 5 teams in the building, spacious and impeccably clean without a speck of dust. The operations here were managed by high-tech equipment, and there were no staff members in the cafeteria. The players placed their trays in front of the self-service machines, and the food would automatically be dispensed based on their rankings. The higher the ranking, the better the food. Kira Ryosuke knew that Ego Jinpachi was playing a little trick with this system. He instilled a concept in all the players: those who had the ability would enjoy privileges in Blue Lock. He wanted to use this class difference to ignite the players' competitiveness. Kira Ryosuke looked around and his gaze landed on a sign. 1 goal equals 1 point, can be exchanged for desired items. 1 point, steak, massage. 3 points, return of mobile phone. 5 points, deluxe sleeping bed. 10 points, 1-day outing ticket. In Blue Lock, the more goals one scored, the more points they could accumulate. It also meant better treatment within the facility. Kira Ryosuke wasn't particularly interested in the food aspect. The only things that attracted him were the return of the mobile phone and the so-called outing ticket. He needed at least 13 points, which meant he had to score 13 goals in the matches. For the current Kira Ryosuke, it was not an impossible task. Chapter 13, A Thunderclap Flash, Level 2. After finishing dinner, Kira Ryosuke took a short rest and then headed to the gym for practice. The equipment there was very well equipped, allowing him to follow the training program set by Rico Aida. Jogging, advanced versions of push ups and planks, flexibility training. Kira Ryosuke didn't slack off. Unbeknownst to him, several hours had already passed. Congratulations! You have earned 4 competition points. After several hours of training, Kira Ryosuke successfully obtained today's 10 competition points. For him, it had become a routine, similar to checking in every day. Current competition points, 50. Previously, he upgraded full concentration breathing to level 2. When Kira Ryosuke arrived at Blue Lock, he had 30 competition points. With the 10 points he acquired from the ghost capture and the recent workout, he now had 50 competition points. It was just enough to upgrade Thunderclap Flash to level 2. Nearly a week of grueling practice had significantly improved Kira Ryosuke's physical abilities. However, with only 8 days so far, the improvement was still limited. He couldn't use Thunderclap Flash indefinitely in a state of full concentration breathing. After each use, there was still a noticeable soreness in his body. At the moment, in a 90-minute match, he had 2 opportunities to use Thunderclap Flash with each leg in a state of full concentration breathing. If he used it while sprinting with the ball, both legs would have to employ Thunderclap Flash under full concentration breathing simultaneously, which would only allow him to unleash it once. The effect of this ability was incredibly powerful, but if he couldn't use it multiple times in a match, it would be meaningless. Shooting and dribbling required more than just 1 or 2 attempts. Although Ego Jinpachi didn't mention it, Kira Ryosuke knew that in a few days, they would be competing against other teams, and he would need to score a large number of goals. That was when Thunderclap Flash would come into play. While accumulating competition points to unlock new skills was an option, new skills would still require practice and familiarity. Moreover, there wouldn't even be an opportunity to unlock them before the first match. So, for now, upgrading Thunderclap Flash was the best choice for Kira Ryosuke. He immediately chose to upgrade Thunderclap Flash. Upgrade successful. Thunder Breathing, Thunderclap Flash has reached level 2, proficiency reset. Current competition points, 0. After spending all his competition points, Kira Ryosuke stopped exercising. He had some time left today, so it was a good opportunity to see how effective level 2 Thunderclap Flash was. He quickly arrived at the exclusive football field for Team Z. Each team had its own designated field, allowing them to train freely. Kira Ryosuke took out a football from the side and placed it at a distance of about 30 meters from the goal. For the talented players in Blue Lock, it was a considerable distance, and not many had the range to shoot from 30 meters. He adjusted his breathing quickly, entering a state of full concentration breathing, feeling the flow of air in his lungs, allowing oxygen to merge into his bloodstream and transform into power, focusing it on his right leg. Shoot! Thunderclap Flash! Kira Ryosuke kicked the ball, converting the power in his legs into the kinetic energy of the football ball, causing it to burst forward like a heavy cannon. Even the left foot cannon shot, which Kunigami Ryosuke was proud of, seemed insignificant compared to Thunderclap Flash. Both in terms of range and power, the prowess of Thunderclap Flash under full concentration breathing surpassed that of his left foot cannon shot. The bullet-like football ball hit the top right corner of the goal, but it still possessed tremendous momentum, like a beast fiercely tearing at the net, as if it would break free in the next second. After a few seconds, the fury of the beast was finally quelled, and it slowly descended to the ground. The accuracy and power have improved, but it's still not enough. There's still a few centimeters of difference from the direction I aimed for. However, it's definitely more impressive than level 1, and easier to control. But most importantly, Kira Ryosuke lowered his head, carefully feeling the condition of his right leg. As expected, a slight soreness quickly set in, but it was much better than at level 1. The load on his right leg was noticeably reduced, and the recovery time would definitely be much shorter. However, he still couldn't use Thunderclap Flash continuously with the same leg in a short period. If he forced it, there was a high possibility of straining his muscles, which would affect future matches and training. It would be a case of diminishing returns. Now, both of his legs were capable of using Thunderclap Flash. With a reasonable allocation of time and physical stamina, each leg could execute the skill twice in a match. This meant that Kira Ryosuke could contribute at least 4 goals in the early matches. However, this was just a theoretical calculation. To achieve this, it was necessary to allocate stamina and time properly. For example, using Thunderclap Flash under full concentration breathing to score at the start of the first half, followed by a period of rest and adjustment, in order to use the skill again with the same leg in the second half. In other words, if there were no shooting opportunities in the first half, Kira Ryosuke wouldn't have enough time to adjust the condition of his leg after using Thunderclap Flash in the second half. This meant that Kira Ryosuke had to create shooting opportunities in the first half. However, obtaining shooting opportunities wasn't as simple as breaking through the opponent's defense line. Even teammates could become obstacles. Kira Ryosuke's preparations included revealing part of his strength during the ghost capture selection, gradually gaining the trust of his teammates, and then leading the team himself. Although only one person could ultimately stand out in Blue Lock, at this stage, the priority was to ensure success in the first round of selection. In the original work, Team Z barely made it through the selection. Aside from the so-called protagonist's aura, there were too many uncontrollable factors. Kira Ryosuke didn't want victory or defeat to be influenced by these uncontrollable factors. He wanted to hold the outcome in his own hands. Great shot! At that moment, a familiar voice came from behind Kira Ryosuke. Bakaram Meguru and Isagi Yoichi entered the field together. It was already late at night, and they couldn't sleep, so they decided to come here to practice together. Chapter 14, Imaginary Rival. That shot just now was at least 30 meters away. Bakaram Meguru's face was filled with excitement as he quickly ran over to the spot where Kira Ryosuke was standing. He glanced at the goal and then stared intently at Kira Ryosuke. Seriously, how did you manage that shot just now? Even from a distance of 30 meters, you still had such an incredible amount of power after the ball entered the net. It's amazing. You truly are the strongest presence in our team. Isagi Yoichi, standing beside them, also looked at Kira Ryosuke with a mixture of astonishment and admiration. I've been practicing long-range shots a lot before, but there's still room for improvement in terms of accuracy. Kira Ryosuke smiled and said, didn't you two get any sleep? It must be late now. Yeah, Isagi nodded, his gaze fixed on the goal. He stood in the same spot where Kira Ryosuke had just taken the shot, and for Isagi Yoichi, it was indeed too far away. It was impossible for him to generate the same level of power as Kira Ryosuke. In that case, let's practice together, the three of us, Bakaram Meguru said with a smile. Sure, Kira Ryosuke didn't object. Having more people practice together would be more efficient than doing it alone. Although his legs still felt a bit sore, there was no problem doing some basic positioning and exercises. Besides, he also wanted to take this opportunity to learn from Bakaram Meguru's excellent dribbling skills, which would be very useful when breaking through the penalty area. Even with the system's enhancements, Kira Ryosuke wasn't satisfied. He had to further improve his own abilities. After about an hour of training, the three of them stopped and took a short break. And at that moment, Bakaram Meguru turned his head to look at Kira Ryosuke. He squinted his eyes slightly, lost in thought. After contemplating for a while, he spoke up. Kira, can I ask you a question? Yeah. Why did you choose to eliminate Igarashi Gyuraimu? For you, my answer may be a bit uninteresting. On one hand, he actively caused trouble, which gave me possession of the ball. Kira Ryosuke spoke slowly. On the other hand, I believe he was the most suitable candidate to be eliminated in this round. The most suitable? Isagi Yoichi asked with some confusion. After we entered, I counted the number of people, and there were a total of 12. In the game of tag, one person needs to be eliminated, leaving 11 people. That's exactly the number for a starting lineup of a football team. So, I basically concluded that the remaining 11 people would form a team and compete against other teams. The losers would be eliminated. Although Ego Jinpachi hasn't mentioned it yet, I believe this is the process that follows. Kira Ryosuke explained. If we are to form a team, then we definitely need to eliminate the weakest player. And you've seen that Igarashi Gyuraimu, who ranked last, is both physically and technically very poor. So, I ultimately chose to eliminate him. You actually considered all of that? Isagi Yoichi was surprised but seemed to realize something. While having 11 people isn't a problem in terms of numbers, we are all forwards. How are we going to distribute positions? It's going to be chaotic during the matches, right? Meanwhile, Sakura Meguru smiled, as if he had guessed Kira Ryosuke's thoughts. That's why your actions during the day were basically a show of force, right? As long as there's a leader, we can avoid that situation. Am I right? Sakura Meguru was a very intelligent person, and he also possessed intuition beyond that of others. In his eyes, this intuition was seen as a monster within his heart. You could say that. Kira Ryosuke didn't hide it and nodded. Interesting. And the smile on Sakura Meguru's face became even more apparent, while his body leaned forward slightly. Do you know? In my heart, there's a monster that tells me there's someone among this group who is like me. As he spoke, he glanced at Isagi Yoichi from the corner of his eye, but quickly refocused on Kira Ryosuke's face. And the monster tells me there's a presence that even he feels afraid of, and that's you, Kira. Is that so? Kira Ryosuke maintained his smile. Kira, why did you participate in the Blue Lock? To win. Kira Ryosuke replied. Although he used to go with the flow in the past, once Kira Ryosuke set a goal, he would do his utmost to achieve it. He considered it his stubbornness as a former manga artist. In reality, he possessed an unparalleled competitive spirit. Looking at Kira Ryosuke, the smile on Sakura Meguru's face seemed to become even more apparent. It's getting late, we should go back and rest. Yet. The next morning, Kira Ryosuke woke up early. Although there were only 8 days left, he had already developed a habit of waking up and practicing before sunrise. However, in the enclosed environment of the Blue Lock, he couldn't see the sunrise. The bed is really hard. Let's put a luxury bed in the target plan for now. Kira Ryosuke stretched his body after getting up. Although there were plenty of football-related equipment, the accommodation conditions were not ideal. 10 people slept in the same room, with only a mattress, a blanket, and a pillow for each person. After freshening up, he went to do the basic warm-up exercises to earn some competitive points. It took another hour or two before the others started waking up, officially beginning the first day in the Blue Lock. On the first day, Ego Jinpachi arranged a physical fitness test for them. The intensity of the exercises was high, and there was hardly any rest time. Many members of the team couldn't keep up throughout the entire test. Kira, you can still go on. Isagi was holding a bucket and vomiting, almost on the verge of collapse. Meanwhile, Kira Ryosuke continued running on the treadmill as if nothing had happened. I'm fine. Kira Ryosuke replied. The intensity of the physical test is indeed high, but compared to the training arranged by Rico, it's relatively gentle. He thought to himself. On the other side of the fitness room, Reiichi Jingo was also running on a treadmill. Reiichi Jingo had a hot temper and an overwhelming desire to win. He was extremely dissatisfied with every member of the team. After seeing Kira Ryosuke's performance in the game of tag yesterday, Reiichi Jingo felt annoyed, and in his mind, he had already treated Kira Ryosuke as his imaginary rival. Physical strength was Reiichi Jingo's greatest advantage, and although this was not a competition, he wanted to surpass Kira Ryosuke in the fitness test. Chapter 15, You Don't Accept My Challenge? After a dozen minutes, even Reiichi Jingo couldn't hold on any longer and had to get off the treadmill, gasping for breath. Sweat covered his forehead, and his legs were even a bit weak. He looked at Kira Ryosuke with a mix of anger and disbelief. Now, Kira Ryosuke was the only one left persevering in the fitness room, while the others could only sit on the floor and watch him. Is this guy a monster? He can still keep going? What kind of stamina is this? This is too exaggerated. People started discussing among themselves. Even though Reiichi Jingo felt displeased, he had to admit the terrifying level of Kira Ryosuke's physical endurance. And a few minutes later, Kira Ryosuke finally stepped down from the treadmill. Although he was also covered in sweat, he didn't appear as exhausted as the others. The original body's physical condition was decent, and coupled with over a week of hellish training, Kira Ryosuke's stamina had improved to some extent. But the most crucial factor was not just physical fitness, but the way of breathing. When exercising, the frequency and technique of breathing are vital. Improper breathing restricts the body's oxygen supply, naturally affecting physical performance. Moreover, the rhythm of breathing is also related to the rhythm of movements, and incorrect breathing frequency can even impact one's motions. After unlocking the breathing techniques through the system, Kira Ryosuke learned more efficient ways of breathing, allowing him to achieve better results in physical exercises. 3 days had passed since the game of tag. Kira Ryosuke was still exercising in the gym, even though he had already earned today's check in competitive points. At that moment, the broadcast in the blue lock sounded. The results of the physical exercises are out. Everyone, please return to your rooms immediately to check the latest rankings. Kira Ryosuke wiped off his sweat and went back to Team Z's room. He changed into the blue attire he usually wore for rest. The number on the pentagon-shaped badge on his shoulder changed from 289 to 264. This was because in the game of tag, each team had eliminated one member, reducing the total number of participants by 25. Tisk. Reiichi Jingo glanced at Kira Ryosuke's ranking, then looked at his own. He had an obvious expression of displeasure on his face, but there was nothing he could do about it. Just then, the screen on the wall lit up again, revealing the thin and gloomy face of Ego Jinpachi. Kira Ryosuke lifted his head and looked at the screen. He knew that Ego Jinpachi was about to announce the rules for the next round of selection. That would be the true first round of selection, where more than half of the participants would be eliminated. The blue lock had a total of 5 buildings, and each building housed 5 teams V, W, X, Y, and Z. The first round of selection would be a round-robin tournament among these 5 teams. The winning team would earn 3 points, a draw would give each team 1 point, and the losing team would receive no points. After the matches, the 2 teams with the highest points would all advance to the next round, while the remaining 3 eliminated teams would have only the player with the highest cumulative goals to advance. The rules weren't overly complicated, but they made the competition more intense and even tested human nature. In the original work, Kwon Wataru from Team Z believed that their team had a very low chance of advancing, so he intentionally colluded with the opponents. In exchange for becoming the top scorer within the team, he leaked tactics and sabotaged the matches to ensure his own advancement. After explaining the rules, the large screen closed again. The first match was between Team Z and Team X, scheduled to begin in 2 hours. With limited time, the members of Team Z had to start discussing immediately. We're all forwards. What should we do? Can we really form a team? And isn't Team X ranked higher than us? Here's an idea. How about we decide positions by playing rock paper scissors? When someone suggested rock paper scissors as a fair solution, many people around agreed. But there was one person who voiced opposition: Kira Ryosuke. Sorry, but I don't agree with deciding through rock paper scissors. Upon hearing Kira Ryosuke's words, everyone's gaze turned towards him. Kira, isn't this the fairest method? Kwon Wataru furrowed his brow and looked at Kira Ryosuke. You're right. It is the fairest method, but what we want is victory, not fairness. Moreover, it's not so much about fairness as it is about luck. If everything is decided by rock paper scissors, capable forwards could very well be assigned to the position of a defender. This is a game that affects each of our careers, and I don't want my future to be determined by so-called luck. Kira Ryosuke spoke slowly, and a few people around him nodded slightly in agreement. Once we're eliminated, our careers essentially come to an end. No one wants to take that risk. And even if positions and tactics are decided by rock paper scissors, how many people here would actually follow through? Even if the team gets eliminated, as long as someone becomes the top scorer, they can advance. This will infinitely amplify each person's selfish desires. While Kira Ryosuke was speaking, he turned his head to look at Reiichi, who was behind him. In the original work, it was Reiichi who first snatched the ball from his teammates, further causing chaos within the team. Hey, what do you mean by looking at me like that? Are you asking for trouble? Reiichi noticed Kira Ryosuke's gaze and immediately shouted angrily. But deep down, he felt a bit guilty because he had just been thinking that if he were assigned to the defender position, he would proactively steal the ball from his teammates. Can this guy read minds? Reiichi bit his lip, feeling somewhat resentful. Well then, Kira, what method of allocation do you think is best? Kunigami Ransuke from the other side asked. This guy definitely wants to hog the spotlight. Reiichi interjected and shouted. It's simple. Let's let our abilities speak for themselves. We still have 2 hours before the match starts, which is more than enough time. Kira Ryosuke squinted his eyes slightly as his gaze swept across everyone. The strongest person will take on the role of the team leader and designate each person's position. He took a step forward and stood in the middle of everyone. Isagi Yoichi couldn't help but swallow a gulp of saliva. He faintly felt an indescribable sense of pressure emanating from Kira Ryosuke. To determine the leader's position, we'll use a one-on-one challenge. I'll temporarily take on the role of the first challenger. If anyone doubts my abilities and decisions, come and defeat me. Kira Ryosuke spoke as if he had transformed into a different person. Chapter 16, Overwhelming Strength. Soon, all the members of Team Z gathered at their football field. Almost everyone agreed with Kira Ryosuke's proposal. With only 2 hours left until the match, although this process might consume time and energy, everyone understood that if positions and tactics couldn't be determined, the whole team would become fragmented. First and foremost, they had to ensure the team's victory. Kira Ryosuke was also aware of this. Currently, he needed to rally this team together and gain control. Only then could he secure victory 100%. At this moment, Kira Ryosuke stood in front of the goal, his foot on the ball, his gaze scanning the people in front of him. So, who's the first one? Watch me destroy you. At this moment, Reiichi took the lead and stepped forward. On one hand, he desired to secure the position of a forward, but on the other hand, he was also displeased with Kira Ryosuke. Now, it was an opportunity for him to defeat Kira Ryosuke himself. If he could win against Kira Ryosuke, he would have a chance to gain control over the team. Reiichi wouldn't miss this opportunity. Come on, you go on the attack first. As long as you can score, you can start anytime. Kira Ryosuke smiled and looked at Reiichi while kicking the ball to him. Reiichi stared intensely at Kira Ryosuke. Looking at his opponent's demeanor, he felt even more irritated. Although Reiichi knew that Kira Ryosuke was very strong during the tag game, he didn't necessarily think he would lose in a one-on-one situation. Reiichi had great confidence in his own abilities. In a one-on-one scenario, the attacking side should have a slight advantage. Just wait to lose. Reiichi yelled, then quickly dribbled the ball towards Kira Ryosuke. Kira Ryosuke's body only slightly lowered its center of gravity, leaving openings around him. There's an opportunity. Reiichi seized the moment, preparing to use his speed to overpower his opponent. However, in the instant he lowered his center of gravity and was about to sprint, Kira Ryosuke closed in on him in the blink of an eye. A thunderclap flash. This time, the use of the skill didn't involve coordinated breathing, so it wasn't 100% effective. Nevertheless, it still provided Kira Ryosuke with a faster speed than usual. So fast. Reiichi was somewhat surprised, but he didn't panic. Instead, he turned his body to the side, trying to forcefully get past his opponent. The closer the defender gets, the easier it is for the attacker to find a breakthrough opportunity. Hey, if it's just a one-on-one, there's no need to take it so seriously. It not only consumes too much energy but also increases the risk of injury. Kuonwataru shouted with concern from the side. However, Reiichi completely disregarded the words of others. He was a person with strong self-esteem and absolutely couldn't accept anyone being above him. Especially when Kira Ryosuke spoke just now, Reiichi felt extremely displeased. This was his best and only chance to defeat Kira Ryosuke. As long as he could defeat this guy, he would have high prestige within the team. As soon as I defeat Kira Ryosuke and secure the leader position, I'll make sure this guy plays as a defender, no, directly as a goalkeeper. Reiichi thought to himself, mustering his strength and preparing to bypass his opponent. However, Reiichi overlooked one thing: Kira Ryosuke was the guy who could stop Kunigami Ransuke's shot with his chest alone. His shoulder collided directly with Kira Ryosuke's side, producing a loud sound. Reiichi's eyes widened, filled with astonishment. In that instant, he felt like he had collided with a massive rock. So, this is your physical confrontation? Kira Ryosuke's voice rang in his ear, his tone incredibly calm. The disadvantage in the physical confrontation made Reiichi lose his balance. His running posture was completely disrupted, and he stumbled, eventually falling flat on the ground. And in that moment, Kira Ryosuke easily completed the interception, firmly controlling the ball at his feet. Your attack is over. Kira Ryosuke spoke slowly. Hey, wasn't that a foul just now? Reiichi immediately turned his head and demanded an explanation from the others. No, Kira just now didn't commit a foul. It was a legitimate physical confrontation, Kunigami Ransuke replied. Now it's my turn to attack. Kira Ryosuke's voice redirected Reiichi's attention, and he turned his head, looking displeased at his opponent. Come on, don't think you've won just because you scored one goal due to luck. I'll shut you down. Reiichi gritted his teeth, feeling that he had lost face. Regardless, he had to prevent Kira Ryosuke from scoring, even if it meant fouling. He took a few steps back, positioning himself closer to the goal, making it harder for his opponent to get past him. Is that so? Then I'll attack. As soon as the words fell, Kira Ryosuke quietly gathered strength in his legs. Just like before, he used the thunderclap flash skill in his movement. This one-on-one wasn't just about gaining dominance within the team, but also a practical test of the thunderclap flash skill. So fast! Everyone on the field exclaimed in surprise, including Reiichi, who was also astonished. He immediately shifted his weight and sprinted towards the possible attacking route of Kira Ryosuke. Only by doing so could he possibly stop his opponent's progress. But in that instant, Kira Ryosuke suddenly came to an abrupt stop. The ball, which was moving at high speed, froze as if it were suspended in mid-air, right at Kira Ryosuke's feet. Reiichi once again lost his balance due to an unstable center of gravity and missed the optimal defensive position. With a gentle kick, Kira Ryosuke successfully scored. Although the thunderclap flash skill, under normal circumstances, didn't impose a significant burden on his legs, it still consumed more energy than regular running shots. Therefore, it couldn't be used without restraint. Moreover, as fast as it was, it might not be as easy to bypass a true expert, especially considering that in a match, he wouldn't be facing just one opponent. There was still a need to further improve himself. But for the current Kira Ryosuke, using the thunderclap flash multiple times in a match posed no problem at all. At this stage, it should be able to demonstrate its usefulness on both ends of the game, in attack and defense. Darn! Darn! No, it's just luck. Let's go again. Another round. Reiichi immediately shouted in frustration, unwilling to accept defeat. You lose, Kunigami Ryosuke reprimanded Reiichi from the side. Meanwhile, everyone else on the field stared intently at Kira Ryosuke. They finally understood his strength and realized that his top ranking in the team wasn't just empty praise. Chapter 17, the first round of selection matches begins. Several minutes later. Well then, if that's the case, I'll temporarily take on the role of team captain for this round of selection matches, Kira Ryosuke said calmly. In the past few moments, he not only defeated Reiichi but also successively won against Kunigami Ryosuke and Bakaram Meguru. This speed. It's really unfair. Is there anyone in the entire Blue Lock who can surpass Kira Ryosuke in terms of speed? It's too exaggerated. He doesn't even need any techniques, just relying on his speed to get past opponents. The crowd discussed fervently. Only 3 people challenged Kira Ryosuke, and without a doubt, they all failed. After witnessing these 3 matches, the others clearly understood the gap between themselves and Kira Ryosuke. The others also recognized Kira Ryosuke's position as the team captain. Even if Reiichi felt somewhat resentful, he could only sit silently on the side. While he claimed that it was just luck on the surface, deep down, he truly felt the terrifying strength of Kira Ryosuke during their confrontation. And this little interlude also sparked an idea in the hearts of the others present. Perhaps, Kira Ryosuke could really lead them to break through this round. Well then, let's start assigning positions and devising tactics. I believe I can take on the center forward position, organizing the attack around me as the core. Kira Ryosuke's words didn't carry any sense of arrogance. He simply chose the most likely path to victory. Reiichi, you have excellent stamina and strong aggressiveness. Take on the role of defender. The responsibility of goalkeeper will be entrusted to Iman Okihito. You dare! Upon hearing that he was assigned to the defender position, Reiichi became furious, ready to erupt. His gaze met Kira Ryosuke's, and his raised hand dropped back down. It doesn't matter, as long as we can win. What do you all think? Kira Ryosuke asked for the opinions of the others. The rest of them nodded in agreement. Kira Ryosuke allocated positions based on each person's technical characteristics and physical abilities, and combined with his own outstanding strength, no one opposed him. Then we should also make some preparations. About an hour later, Kira Ryosuke and the rest of Team Z arrived at the dedicated venue for the match. Their match was the first one, and they only had 2 hours' notice before it began, without any chance to gather information about their opponents just like the opposing Team X. Everyone was extremely nervous, uncertain about the strength of their opponents and what tactics they would employ. Only one person remained calm throughout. Kira Ryosuke, because he knew exactly how strong Team X was. At this moment, the gates on the opposite side of the field swung open, and Team X entered the arena with great momentum. Kira Ryosuke's gaze locked onto one of them. It was a tall and muscular man, with hair standing tall on his head. Underneath the hair was a rugged and serious face, devoid of any trace of a smile, making him seem difficult to get along with. However, he exuded a strong sense of oppression and an inherent arrogance. Baro Shuai, the ace of Team X. In the original work, he was portrayed as an arrogant person who never passed the ball, considering himself the king of the football field, viewing opponents as ants and teammates as servants. He demanded that the entire team revolve around him, making him one of the biggest problems in the Blue Lock team. But it couldn't be denied that Baro Shuai had the capital to be arrogant. Not only did he possess a robust physique, but he also had terrifying breakthrough abilities and highly accurate mid-range shooting. The self-proclaimed king of the football field was not just an empty title. In the original work, his record wasn't great, mainly because he didn't cooperate with his teammates. Baro Shuai only played as a lone wolf, with no option for passing, believing that all his teammates' actions should revolve around his own attack. However, his attacking abilities could easily rank among the top of Blue Lock. In the match against Team Z in the original work, he scored 5 goals, overwhelming the opponent with a 5-1 absolute advantage. But because of Kira Ryosuke's presence, the outcome of this match had become unpredictable. He wasn't planning to hand over victory on a silver platter. Kira Ryosuke opened the system interface. Host, Kira Ryosuke. Current competitiveness points, 30. Current skills. Competitiveness, Thunder Breath, Full Concentration LV2 Proficiency, 18.07%. Competitiveness, Thunder Breath, Thunderclap Flash LV2 Proficiency, 15.11%. 3 days have passed since the upgrade of Thunderclap Flash, and Kira Ryosuke has gained another 30 points. As expected, after the upgrade, it became more difficult to increase the proficiency of the skills, and the progress had slowed down considerably. He closed the system interface and directed his gaze towards Baro Shuai, a slight smile forming at the corner of his mouth. Baro Shuai was indeed very strong. However, he was destined to fail in this round of the match because his weaknesses were too fatal. Kira Ryosuke had already figured out how to deal with him. The judgments regarding fouls and other aspects of the first round of the qualifiers will be handled by the video assistant referee. After everyone had entered the arena, the sound of the broadcast echoed from various directions. This Blue Lock was undoubtedly a product of the world's most cutting-edge technology. The indoor field was no different from an ordinary outdoor field, except that the surroundings were all made of sturdy walls embedded with countless high-tech devices. There was no sight of the sky, and there were no spectators. Only numerous cameras were pointed at the field. Match number 5, first round, 45 minutes, Team X vs Team Z, Kickoff. As soon as the broadcast announcement ended, a loud and crisp bell rang. The match officially began. In the center circle, Kira Ryosuke received a pass from Isagi and immediately dribbled towards the opponent's goal. In the original work, shortly after the kickoff, Team Z fell into chaos due to their players' struggle for possession. However, Kira Ryosuke successfully prevented that from happening. Everyone remained in their designated positions, behaving themselves obediently. In the monitoring room, Ego Jinpachi was focusedly watching the live broadcast of the match on the screen. With numerous cameras placed on the field, he could observe the game from every angle. Just 2 hours, and a transformation from 0 to 1 is completed. Impressive, Ego Jinpachi murmured to himself. Chapter 18, Scoring a goal within 1 minute. Each team's top scorer will definitely advance. Ego Jinpachi intentionally set this rule to stimulate the selfishness and attacking desire of the forward players. Not only were their positions overlapping, but each team had only been formed 3 days ago, without any time for coordination and training. Under this rule, Ego Jinpachi anticipated that a temporary team composed of 11 forwards would inevitably become chaotic in their quest for ball possession. Moreover, this was the first match of the qualifiers, so the initial stages would resemble children playing a disorganized game. The scenario envisioned by Ego Jinpachi was for someone on the field to demonstrate absolute attacking ability, rallying the temporary team around themselves and leading them through the transformation from 0 to 1. In his expectations, Baro Shuai was the most suitable example. However, Ego Jinpachi did not anticipate that Kira Ryosuke had already achieved this before the match even began. At this moment, every member of Team Z was active in their designated areas, and there was no sign of any disputes. Except for the private spaces, the Blue Lock was almost entirely under surveillance, and Ego Jinpachi had witnessed everything that had happened with Team Z. Kira Ryosuke had resolved the conflicts that had yet to occur using his own strength. Apart from Kira Ryosuke, no one in the entire Blue Lock would consider such a situation. Furthermore, having an excellent mind and a broad perspective was not enough. To fully control a team in a short period, one also needed the ability to gain the respect of others. Kira Ryosuke possessed all of these qualities. Was he always this remarkable? Ego Jinpachi was somewhat puzzled. Even though Kira Ryosuke had gained fame at a young age, Ego Jinpachi didn't hold high expectations for him. He even thought Kira Ryosuke might be among the first to be eliminated. Now he realized that he had underestimated this person. But I'm still looking forward to your performance on the field. No matter how well you do, it can't be compared to an ordinary match within the blue lock. Kira Ryosuke swiftly dribbled the ball, with Bakaram Meguru and Isagi Yoichi providing cover, heading straight towards the opponent's penalty area. His goal was to break through the opponent's defense and score in the shortest possible time. Given the reasonable allocation of time and stamina, Kira Ryosuke could unleash the true power of his Thunderclap Flash up to 4 times in a match. However, the prerequisite was to have a scoring opportunity at the beginning of the first half. Only by successfully using the Thunderclap Flash while in a fully concentrated state in the first half of the match, Kira Ryosuke would have ample time to recover his stamina and adjust his physical condition. Moreover, if he could score right from the start, it would greatly demoralize the opponents and boost the morale of his own team. In the original work, Baro Shuai led Team X to breach Team Z's goal 5 times. Now, Kira Ryosuke had to defeat them with even higher efficiency. Just defeating Baro Shuai alone would be enough. So fast! The defenders stationed at the back line couldn't help but exclaim once again. Even though Kira Ryosuke had already demonstrated his exaggerated speed in the one-on-one phase earlier, it was a different story in an actual match. Factors such as physical condition, mental composure, and tactical formations of both sides would affect a player's performance. But for Kira Ryosuke, these limitations seemed to be non-existent. What the hell, what kind of speed is this? The players from Team X were equally shocked by Kira Ryosuke's speed. They quickly contracted their formation at the fastest speed, but in the blink of an eye, Kira Ryosuke had already evaded several of them. Damn it! Surround him quickly. We absolutely can't let him score. I know, stop fucking commanding me. 3 players immediately rushed towards Kira Ryosuke with great momentum, almost blocking all of his breakthrough routes. With this kind of encirclement, even if you're fast, you won't be able to get past. The opponent's formation contracted too quickly. We should reorganize our attack. Isagi Yoichi, who was following closely behind Kira Ryosuke, spoke loudly. He acknowledged that Kira Ryosuke's speed was indeed very fast, but they were the attacking side in the first half, and the opponents could quickly contract their formation in their own half. It would be extremely difficult to break through. The best choice now was to pass the ball back to a teammate and reorganize the attack, looking for an opportunity. The moment Kira Ryosuke heard Isagi Yoichi's words, his speed did slow down, and he turned his head to look in Isagi Yoichi's direction. This guy is going to pass. One of the players observed Kira Ryosuke's movement and instantly made a judgment. He shifted his weight and rushed towards the possible passing lane, ready to intercept as soon as Kira Ryosuke passed the ball. However, in that instant, Kira Ryosuke moved again. The action of turning his head was just a deception, aimed at shifting the defender's focus and causing a misjudgment of his next attacking route. In high-quality competitive matches, even a momentary positional error could be seized by an excellent attacker. Thunderclap Flash. Kira Ryosuke unleashed his ability, concentrating power in his legs, giving himself stronger and faster explosive force. He broke free from the encirclement of the 3 players. Although they had the numerical advantage, they had no defensive tactics and were easily torn apart by Kira Ryosuke. This guy is even faster than before. Can he still accelerate? He's a monster. Team X was shocked by Kira Ryosuke's strength. In the rear of Team Z's half, Chidori Hyoma watched Kira Ryosuke's figure, somewhat dazed. There was a time when he, too, was a talented player proud of his speed. However, a severe injury that nearly ended his football career made him hesitant and timid in his movements, causing him to lose his once proud speed. At this moment, Chidori Hyoma's eyes widened slightly. Kira Ryosuke's speed in that instant seemed to be on par with his peak self, or perhaps even better. What has he done? His pupils trembled. There was a time when he possessed speed far superior to others. But Chidori Hyoma kept watching Kira Ryosuke's figure, and unconsciously, the flame in his heart seemed to have been ignited. On the other end of the field, Kira Ryosuke had completely torn through Team X's defense and was heading straight for the opponent's goal. The goalkeeper of Team X felt his heartbeat suddenly accelerate, How could he not have anticipated that the opponent would pose such a terrifying threat to the goal he was guarding in less than a minute into the game? Chapter 19, A Powerful Shot. At this moment, in the eyes of the goalkeeper, Kira Ryosuke appeared like lightning, charging directly towards him. Surprise, nervousness, and fear brewed within him. But he knew for sure that he couldn't let Kira Ryosuke score so easily. The one-on-one situation had formed, and he had to try to stop the opponent. No way you're scoring. The goalkeeper quickly rushed out. Once a one-on-one situation was formed, the goalkeeper basically had to rush out as soon as possible, without any hesitation. He couldn't give the striker a comfortable environment to adjust their shooting posture. At this angle, he shouldn't be able to shoot directly. He'll have to take a few more steps forward. Just as the goalkeeper made this judgment, Kira Ryosuke raised his right foot high. At the same time, his breathing technique changed. In that instant, Kira Ryosuke greedily sucked in the air, as if eagerly trying to absorb all the oxygen from the surroundings. His blood seemed to boil, and an incessant flow of power surged within him, ultimately gathering in his right leg. A total concentration breathing. Is he going to shoot directly from this angle? Don't underestimate me. The goalkeeper immediately lowered his center of gravity. At this moment, Kira Ryosuke was positioned on the far side of the goal, which limited the shooting angle, and the distance was considerable, giving the goalkeeper a better chance to defend against it all. From this position, it was very difficult to execute a curved shot, and it would be challenging for Kira Ryosuke to accurately control the position of his strike and create an excellent curved shot at such a fast speed. The goalkeeper anticipated that Kira Ryosuke would shoot straight, so he immediately advanced and spread his arms, aiming to disrupt Kira Ryosuke's path to the goal. Kira Ryosuke was aware of this as well. But he didn't care. Thunderclap flash. The power accumulated in his right leg erupted in an instant, directly striking the ball. At the moment the ball made contact with his toe, a thunderous roar erupted, shaking the earth. It was as if a lightning bolt had flashed across the field. Boom! The ball shot toward the goal like a cannonball, its incredibly high speed seemingly compressing its size, accompanied by the sound of tearing through the air. Although the goalkeeper reacted in advance, he couldn't even respond to Kira Ryosuke's shot. The speed was too fast. The ball passed him, and the goalkeeper didn't even make a single reactive movement. It was only when the ball and the net emitted a piercing friction sound that the goalkeeper snapped back to reality, turning his head behind him in disbelief. At this moment, the football slowly descended to the ground, while the goalkeeper remained sitting on the ground, feeling his legs go weak. When the ball narrowly missed him just now, he felt as if a projectile had whizzed past him, and he had merely managed to avoid it by sheer luck. The shockwave created by the ball passing by filled him with a sense of fear. Even if he had reacted and blocked the ball, he feared he would have been propelled into the net along with it. Both the speed and power of that shot reached a terrifying level. I do feel some soreness, but it doesn't affect the basic running and dribbling. I'll only be able to use this ability with my right leg again in the second half. Kira Ryosuke assessed his right leg, recognizing the difference between practicing alone and the actual match. However, in the first half, I can still use the thunderclap flash with full effect once. I just need to seize a suitable opportunity. At the same time, Kira Ryosuke accessed the system interface, where he noticed that his focus and proficiency in both the full concentration breathing and the thunderclap flash had improved. In particular, his proficiency in the thunderclap flash had increased by 5%, which was unprecedented. A new prompt appeared on the interface. When skills are used in official matches and successfully result in actions such as interceptions, breakthroughs, direct/assisted goals, the rate of proficiency growth will be increased to varying degrees. It seems that proficiency grows faster when skills are used in actual matches. It looks like I need to give my all during the game, Kira Ryosuke thought to himself. He closed the system interface and returned to the backfield to regroup with his teammates. After Kira Ryosuke scored the goal just now, the entire stadium fell into a few seconds of silence. It was only after a few seconds that the Z team members suddenly reacted, realizing that their team had taken the lead. It took less than a minute. That was amazing, Ryosuke. That was way too fast. What exactly happened with that goal? The crowd discussed the goal with excitement. Even Reiichi, who had previously shown resistance toward Kira Ryosuke, couldn't help but clench his fist, although he immediately relaxed it when he regained his composure. Several teammates immediately surrounded Kira Ryosuke, celebrating the goal. It happened again, that lightning-fast shot, Bakaram Meguru said with joy and excitement on his face. This goal by Kira Ryosuke ignited the morale of the Z team. They scored within a minute, a feat rarely seen in ordinary matches. Everyone knew that the players who made it to the blue lock were by no means ordinary. Each match was bound to be extremely challenging. Kira Ryosuke gave them hope for victory, and advancing to the next round was no longer just a fantasy. In stark contrast to the highly energized Z team, the X team was on the verge of despair. What exactly happened? Was that sound really produced by a shot? Hey, it's all your fault for being out of position. What were you doing? How could you be deceived by such a fake move? What are you talking about? It's as if you can defend against that person. He bypassed 3 players who were marking him. Who is this person, anyway? Kira Ryosuke, known as the gem of the football world, that genius. I knew he was strong, but I never expected him to be this powerful. Almost every member of the X team had a gloomy expression on their faces. Being scored against so quickly at the start of the match undoubtedly dealt a severe blow to their morale. However, among them, there was one person whose expression hardly changed. Ryosuke. Soon, it was X team's turn to counterattack. However, as soon as they kicked off, they once again found themselves in a chaotic situation. The forward had just received the ball and was preparing to attack when the defender behind suddenly rushed forward to intercept. What are you doing? The team's top scorer is definitely capable of advancing. You were easily beaten just now. It seems your skills are nothing special. What about the tactics? Are we going to continue playing in this chaotic manner? Right from the start, the X team fell into complete disarray. Everyone was trying to seize possession of the ball. Chapter 20, Ace vs Ace. Isagi Yoichi looked at the chaotic state of the X team and couldn't help but swallow nervously. He turned his head to look at Kira Ryosuke, who was by his side. If it weren't for Kira anticipating this situation and taking appropriate measures in advance, our Z team might have ended up in the same predicament. Kira truly lives up to his reputation. While the X team was on the verge of internal strife, a tall figure directly intercepted the ball from under a teammate's feet and charged towards the Z team's half at an astonishing speed. Ryosuke. His teammates desperately chased after him but couldn't keep up with Ryosuke's pace. Fast. We must stop him. Isagi Yoichi immediately reacted and stood in front of Ryosuke. Meanwhile, Ryosuke, expressionless, charged towards Isagi Yoichi with a gaze that carried a disdainful look, as if looking at an ant. He exuded a terrifying aura of oppression, rendering Isagi Yoichi almost immobile. Don't appear in front of me. Trash. I will kill you. Isagi Yoichi could feel the intense pressure emanating from Ryosuke, making it difficult for him to breathe. From where will he attack? The left or the right? Just as Isagi Yoichi was lost in thought, Ryosuke made a new move. He quickly lifted his foot and placed it in front of the ball, then exerted force with his heel, flicking the ball up. The ball soared directly over Isagi Yoichi's head. While Isagi Yoichi was still a bit stunned, Ryosuke suddenly accelerated, effortlessly evading Isagi Yoichi. With his chest puffed out behind Isagi Yoichi, Ryosuke skillfully stopped the ball and continued to charge towards the goal. With just one move, Ryosuke demonstrated football skills far superior to Isagi Yoichi. Quick, stop him! Isagi Yoichi shouted loudly. Quit your babbling! Reiichi Jingo shouted loudly and immediately rushed towards Ryosuke, while Kunigami Ransuke on the other side also moved in to provide defensive support. However, Ryosuke effortlessly dribbled past them with a swift nutmeg and quickly arrived in front of the goal. He took the shot. The football soared in a perfect arc, bypassing the goalkeeper with tremendous speed. Eamon, the goalkeeper, didn't even react in time and could only watch as the ball entered the net. The members of the Z team were stunned. Ryosuke showcased unparalleled attacking ability and quickly equalized the score. The joy that had been evident on their faces just moments ago had vanished completely. Listen, remember this, you idiots. Football is not a friend or anything else to me. It's just a servant that allows me to shine. Standing on the field, I am the king. Expressionless, he stood in front of the Z team's goal, slightly spreading his hands. Both his actions and demeanor exuded an arrogant contempt for others, as if everyone else were nothing more than ants to be crushed. Meanwhile, Ryosuke's gaze focused on Kira Ryosuke, as if declaring an insurmountable gap between their strengths. Kira Ryosuke frowned, looking at Ryosuke with a serious expression. Others thought he might have been provoked by Ryosuke's taunting words. After a few seconds, he opened his mouth. Did anyone ask you a question? Isn't it cringeworthy to blurt out such juvenile words on your own? Baro Shuai paused for a moment, a hint of confusion flickering in his eyes. But then the veins on his forehead bulged, and he became the one who was slightly provoked. You. However, Baro Shuai didn't say much, or perhaps didn't know what to say. He left the opponent's penalty area muttering phrases like, "This is so annoying. Hey, Eamon, what are you doing? Can't you even do your job as a goalkeeper? I've never been a goalkeeper." Looking at his teammates on the verge of arguing, Kira Ryosuke walked over and placed a finger in front of his mouth. "Shh, don't argue. We're teammates on the same team now, and it's definitely not the time for internal conflicts." Kira Ryosuke then pointed his finger towards the opponent's half of the field. "Look, after that guy named Baro scored, the opponent's formation is no longer chaotic. They have realized their own shortcomings." As Kira Ryosuke said, Baro Shuai's impressive performance served as a calming agent for his teammates, making it clear to them that their only chance of winning was by making Baro Shuai the absolute core. The once chaotic team gradually regained their spirit, and the goal that equalized the score boosted their morale significantly. Listening to Kira Ryosuke's words, the others quieted down. "What should we do next? Double team defending Baro?" Isagi Yoichi asked from the side. "It is indeed necessary to have more people defending Baro, but not just after he gains possession of the ball. The key is to prevent him from receiving the ball in the first place." A composed smile appeared on Kira Ryosuke's face as he turned his head to look at the opponent's half of the field. "I'll take care of the next offensive. I will confront Baro head-on and defeat him." Although Baro Shuai successfully scored and equalized the game, it wasn't a bad thing for Kira Ryosuke. This goal would make the Z team feel threatened, and if he could lead the team to victory, the others in the Z team would trust him even more after this match, believing that he could lead them to success. In this way, he could avoid the occurrence of the betrayal that happened in the original story. Moreover, the more goals Kira Ryosuke scored, the more his teammates would realize that they could only rely on the team's victories to advance, and they would work harder on the field. On the other hand, Baro Shuai was also seen as a lifeline by the X team. They considered him as the team's top ace and would do their best to assist him, which made their attacking style become predictable and easier to counter. The current X team's confidence soared solely because of Baro Shuai's impressive performance. As long as Baro Shuai is completely crushed, the morale of the X team will be completely shattered. Kira Ryosuke had already decided to create a one-on-one situation with Baro Shuai later, and then completely crush them.
Thanks for listening.